This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate a story on what if Naruto became Heir of a Duke Wolf, Part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
With his new forehead protector tied around his forehead and a dejected expression, Naruto strolled through the forest surrounding Konoha. The latter would typically cause the Uzumaki great joy as they have at last attained the status of ninja and are now one step closer to becoming Hokage. However, Naruto wasn't as thrilled as he would have been after learning what he did last night. Rather, he just needed some time to come to terms with what had happened, what had been disclosed, and to regain control over his feelings. Something he would typically do while perched atop the Yondaime Hokage, his hero, on the Hokage monument. However, after learning what he did, the bearded blonde was unable to continue, unable to view the Yondaime in the same light. Naruto thought, hard to look up to someone when he's the one who sealed the fox in me. He was no longer able to view the Yondaime as his hero, for he now knew that the reason everyone despised and treated him as though he didn't exist was because he had sealed the Kyuubi no Yoko within him. He was still in shock that he had abandoned what he had assumed to be a make-believe test that Mizuki had given him, a trap, as it turned out, which, if his other teacher Iruka Amino hadn't shown up, would have resulted in his death. Mizuki then disclosed that the Yondaime Hokage had sealed the Kyuubi inside of him when he was a baby, only to come dangerously close to death as well. And Naruto would acknowledge, if only to himself, that he most likely would have grabbed the forbidden scroll and fled right then. Fearful that everyone would think the demon was attempting to escape and launch an attack if he returned to Konoha, only giving up after learning the truth about Iruka's opinion of him. That he saw Naruto Uzumaki rather than the Kyuubi. Something that strengthened his determination to battle Mizuki, since the Uzumaki had delighted in using his new shadow clone jutsu to kick the traitor in the ass. Subsequently, Iruka had bestowed upon him his personal forehead guard, enabling him to formally complete his academy education prior to their visit to the Hokage's office to return the Forbidden Scroll. Mizuki's words were verified by Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage. The fact that it had been kept a secret from Naruto his entire life was something that only infuriated him. The Hokage attempted to defend his choice to keep it a secret by claiming that it was necessary to provide Naruto with a typical upbringing. Yes, I did have a perfectly typical upbringing. I was raised alone, felt as though I didn't belong, had no family, no friends but Satsuki, and had to support myself financially. Naruto scoffed, thinking sarcastically, a real normal childhood, old man. His was the furthest thing from a normal childhood. In particular, he had no friends save Satsuki Uchiha, as every adult had either pulled their kids away from him when he tried to play with them or the kids would avoid him like their parents did. Although he occasionally skipped class to hang out with Shikamaru, Shoji, and Kiba, they were more of acquaintances than true friends. He never told me, even though he knew all along. What more is he withholding from me? Clutching his fist, Naruto wondered, recalling the Sandaime's response the last time he had questioned him about his parents. It won't bring the dead back. Even if the Hokage hadn't told him their names, Naruto would still have only known what those words meant and how painful they were. But you refused to even give it to me. After gathering up a rock and hurling it as far as he could through the trees, Naruto was taken aback to hear that it had struck an object other than a tree or another rock. Naruto soon arrived at what appeared to be a dilapidated shrine or temple after making his way through the trees, but what startled him was the collapsed entrance gate, which had a red swirl on it. Naruto whispered, "WH. What is that doing there?" as he glanced at the swirl, startled to see that it was the same as the one on the back of his jacket and that it was also on the back of Chunin and Jonin's flak jackets. The Jinchuriki initially believed that something was merely ornamental. Naruto realized, however, that he was the only one who had it and was the only one to wear it casually. "Old man, what else are you not telling me?" Realizing that the swirl must have some sort of important significance, Naruto asked himself again in his head, sensing that the Sandaime must be withholding more information from him. After a brief moment of observation, Naruto entered the shrine. If anything at all is inside, he was hoping to find some sort of answer. What on earth was this location? And why is it in the forest here at all? I wonder who constructed this temple and why, Naruto thought to himself as he surveyed the area warily, feeling as though he was being watched. However, he was suddenly struck with a cold sweat. Naruto first glanced down a corridor that led to the shrine's center before gulping at a chilly sensation that emanated from that direction. Uncertain of what it was, he felt a shadowy presence emanating from the room that caused the Uzumaki to turn down a different hallway. Without wanting to see what was below or try his luck, Naruto thought, I think I'm just going to avoid that. Naruto grunted a little when he had to apply a little more force to open a closed door that he soon came to while strolling down one of the side hallways. After it swung open, Naruto staggered a little and looked around the room before focusing right away on the center of it. There was a stone altar in the middle of the space, and two oddly lit candles were on either side. An elaborately carved mask was resting on a raised dais on the altar. With red and white patterns above the eyeholes and a blue stone on the forehead, the mask appeared to be fashioned in the shape of a wolf. Naruto grabbed it and jumped a little when the candles abruptly went out. He quickly looked around but saw no one or anything. Naruto turned the mask around, looking behind it to see if anything caught his attention, but nothing did. Perhaps it's similar to the masks the Anbu wear, Naruto speculated, assuming it was merely a disguise, akin to the ones Anbu consistently wore, to conceal their identities. Naruto was curious as to whether it was necessary to wear it for something to happen, even though that didn't explain why it was in this room by itself. Turning the mask around and bringing it up to his face, the Jinchuriki shrugged. But Naruto didn't have time to respond once the mask was on his face before everything went dark. Cyberspace. What the? Exclaimed Naruto, startled and perplexed to find himself outside the abandoned temple and in a moonlit forest he didn't even recognize. How have I arrived here? After a moment, Naruto's eyes widened and he moaned and facepalmed, still perplexed as to how he had come to be here at all. Naruto asked in a rhetorical manner, why did I think that was a good idea? Realizing that whatever the mask was, it must have brought him here, wherever this was. But then he tensed when he heard something, a low, haunting melody. Naruto cautiously looked around, trying to figure out where the strange music was coming from. However, the more he heard the music, the more uneasy he became. Then the Jinchuriki felt a fist suddenly buried in his stomach, causing him to gag. Then he was kicked, sending him flying into a tree and waking up quickly to see who had struck him. He grunted in pain as he hit the ground. Naruto became anxious that whoever had attacked him had also been the one playing the music when he realized that he was alone and that the music had stopped. Naruto yelled, "Come out and fight me, asshole! Stop hiding!" as he attempted to locate their hiding place. Naruto spun around, only to have a fist smash into his face and send him tumbling back. It was a deep, growling voice from behind the genin, asking, "Who's hiding, boy?" Naruto grunted in agony from the blow, but instead of glaring at the person, he shook it off and looked shocked at what he saw. The creature had a human appearance, but it was obviously not one since it was decked out in large blue gem. Encrusted black armored boots, black leather pants, a black trenchcoat worn underneath black armor covering his chest, back, shoulders, forearms, and hips, as well as claw. Equipped black armored gloves and a black belt with a yellow gem in the middle and a large gray buckle. But the fact that it had a wolf's face, complete with glowing amber eyes, a horn on its forehead, and long gray hair poking out of the back of its head, indicated that it was not human. "Who? What are you?" Naruto cautiously inquired, unsure of the nature of this being. To Naruto's surprise, Zen Aku abruptly materialized in front of him and exclaimed, "I am the Duke Wolf. Zen. Aku. And you are in my way." Naruto then gasped in agony as the Duke Wolf slammed his knee into his chest. Then, with his hands clasped, Zen Aku struck Naruto's back, sending him sprawling to the ground and making him scream in agony before snatching him by the collar. Naruto yelled, "What the hell are you talking about?" as Zen Aku pulled him by his collar and threw him against a tree. The Duke Wolf attacked Naruto again after he crashed through a tree in a daze. "The mask, you fool. You put on the wolf mask and thus opened yourself up to be possessed by me, something I could have done the moment you put it on, but after seeing your memories, seeing the kind of fool I would be forced to share a body with, I refuse to deal with you a moment longer," yelled Zen Aku. Naruto shook his head and ignored the pain, glaring at Zen Aku for attempting to take control of his body, something he would not allow to happen. Naruto shot back, saying, "Not happening, mutt. I already have one furball taking up space, I'm not having another one." Zen Aku dodged the punch, twisted Naruto's arm, and flipped him over his shoulder, slamming him into the ground. "And you think you can stop me? You? Who wasn't only stupid enough to be tricked by a traitor and then putting on a mask, not knowing what would happen? exclaimed Zen. Aku, throwing Naruto into the air and tensing his body before quickly disappearing. With barely any time to respond, Naruto's body was covered in claw marks, and he had to grit his teeth to keep from yelling in agony. Just as he was about to scream in pain in silence, Zen. Aku materialized directly behind him and savagely rammed his elbow into the fair-haired man's back. For a split second, Naruto did not even realize how painful it was until he found himself colliding with the earth. He bit back any more cries he had before being seized and hauled to his feet, where he saw Zen. Aku staring back at him with ominous, looking eyes. Zen. Aku roared, a weak, pathetic, foolish, ignorant, and worthless child, yet you think you can stand a chance against me? He struck Naruto's stomach several times, feeling as though his ribs were cracking under the force of the blows. He coughed up blood and spittle, and the Duke Wolf dropped him. Coughing, Naruto collapsed to his hands and knees. It was only when Zen. Aku bent over and caught him by the hair that he was forced to look up. Zen. Aku pulled his arm to drive his claws into Naruto's chest and said, "You could train for 1,000 years, challenge me every day for 1,000 more, and I'd tear you apart every time. The only thing you can do is embrace oblivion." Zen. Aku thrust his claws forward, shocked to find they pierced Naruto's arm instead of his chest. The Duke Wolf actually caught the Uzumaki grinning at him as he looked at him. "Got you," Naruto said, slamming his head into Zen. AKU's, causing him to stagger back. After removing his claws, Naruto grabbed his arm, refusing to let the creature escape. With his eyes flashing red and his pupils constricting into slits, Naruto glared at Zen. Aku, saying, "You can call me whatever the hell you want to. It's nothing I haven't heard before, but if you think I'm just gonna lay down and let someone overgrown fleabag kill me." Naruto yelled, "Then you don't know anything about me," as he struck Zen. Aku in the face with his fist, sending him flying and colliding with a tree. Zen. Aku shook his head, startled by the impact and surprised to see Naruto charging at him once more. The Duke Wolf was observing him with curiosity and admiration for his tenacity in the face of such a formidable foe. After blocking Naruto's subsequent blow, Zen. Aku shook his hand in bewilderment. Zen. Aku. Zen. Aku acknowledged once more, and Naruto gave him a confused and wary look. "Naruto Uzumaki," he replied, unsure of what had just transpired. Zen. Aku said, "Well, Naruto Uzumaki, you've certainly got guts. Even against someone who can easily overpower and kill you, you refuse to give up. That's something I can respect." Naruto stepped away, still not entirely trusting the creature, which only confused him more. Naruto demanded, observing Zen. Aku warily, "How'd I know this isn't just a trick? You were going to take over my body, try and kill me so I couldn't take back control. How'd I know you aren't just trying to trick me?" With a suspicious but curious expression on his face, Naruto continued to stare at Zen. Aku, saying, "I wanted to see what you were made of. Seeing your memories and see yourself are very different, and I can see that what you lack in power, you make up for in spirit and will. But I can give it to you, true power and strength." Naruto asked, "What do you mean?" As Zen. Aku extended his hand. "We merge, and once we do, you'll gain everything that I am, my memories, knowledge, abilities and experience. It will all be yours and only you will be in control. I will merely fade away as you will essentially be the new Zen." Aku. Explained Zen. Aku, shocking the Jinchuriki at the offer. Still not entirely believing him, Naruto shot back, "And what if this is just a trick to let you gain control?" Zen. Aku said, "Because you already know if I really wanted to take control, I would have by now." Naruto was forced to acknowledge the truth of this statement because Zen. Aku had previously stated that he could have taken control the moment he put on the mask, but he hasn't done so and isn't attempting to kill him. Naruto was tempted to accept the offered hand as he looked at it because he wanted to have the strength to better protect the people he did care about, especially after Mizuki almost killed Iruka. "Would I still be me?" asked Naruto, refusing to acknowledge that he was about to change completely. With a sigh of relief, Naruto looked at the offered hand until he slowly took it, accepting Zen. AKU's reply, "Yes, you'll still be you, that won't change. You'll just have parts of me as well. But everything you do will be your own choice. That's the one thing no one can take away from you." A moment later, Zen. Aku had a dark black aura covering him, while Naruto had a bright yellow aura covering him. The aura quickly dissipated, revealing Naruto standing by himself as the two combined and shrank into the form of a human. The Uzumaki changed slightly, his sclera was now pitch black, and his hair, which was previously jet black in color but still had the same spiky style, opened to reveal his irises, which had turned a dark amber color similar to a wolf's. Naruto examined himself and noticed that he felt calmer, more composed, and focused than usual. Naruto looked up and said, "I feel complete." He felt as though he had merged with both Zen, Aku, and his own inner darkness. He's been pushing away all the years' worth of pain, suffering, loneliness, rage, and sadness that eventually formed into his inner darkness. He realized that it was the first time in years that he was whole again, and that Zen, Aku must have assimilated it before merging with him. Which also likely explained why Zen, Aku treated him so harshly. Having already assimilated his inner darkness, he must have released all of its stored up resentment and aggression toward him. Naruto said, but I'm sure you don't care how I'm feeling. Kyuubi. As the forest vanished and was replaced by a sewer, a sizable cage appeared directly behind him, and two enormous, crimson-red eyes with slitted pupils emerged. Glaring down at Naruto, who turned to face the Biju, Kyuubi stepped out of the shadows and said, "My jailer, visiting at last. But only after merging with that mutt in your darkness. You may be whole, but I can see you're still fractured." Kyuubi demanded, "What do you want, Naruto? Come to demand my power as well?" Naruto shook his head and turned to face the fox. "No, I didn't come to demand anything, I just figured it'd be better to get this out of the way sooner than later. Neither of us asked to be in this situation. You to be sealed, me to be your Jinchuriki. But whether we like it or not, we're stuck with each other," said Naruto, with the fox merely scoffing at his words. A furious Kyuubi, who was upset with Naruto for stealing Zen, Akiyu's power, said, "And what do you expect to happen? Do you believe we should work together, become friends? If so, then you're still a fool if you think you'll work with a human. And I'm sure you can get by on your own with the mutt's power." Believing that nothing could match the might and strength of the most powerful Biju sealed inside them, they found it insulting that they would seek power from outside sources. "While you're part of the reason I've been hated and alone for so long, you hate being sealed in me. So for the time being, here's my offer, I leave you alone and you leave me alone," Naruto said, knowing that would at least be better than open hostility or just being angry. "No, I don't expect anything. Whether we can learn to work together, let alone be friends or allies, remains to be seen." Kyuubi said, happily, "Now get out," before lying down and shutting its eyes. Naruto only nodded before leaving his mindscape. The real world. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw that he was once again in the temple. He got back up and then clenched and unclenched his hand. "I feel stronger too, much stronger," Naruto thought, astounded by his increased strength following his merger with Yami and Zen, Aku. And the Duke Wolf wasn't lying. He still feels like himself, albeit with a few extra advantages and a calmer, more collected demeanor. Naruto felt the dark presence inside the room, so he avoided going inside and thought, time to see what else is here, before leaving the room to explore the rest of the temple. He did, however, discover some secret passageways in the floor and walls of the other rooms that held books on ninjutsu scrolls and fuinjutsu, all of which appeared to be Uzumaki clan property, along with this temple. Uzumaki clan. After finding out that this location was known as the Uzumaki clan's mask storage temple, Naruto thought bitterly, just another secret kept from me. He was also incensed that he appears to be a member of a clan. With only a week to catch up to his classmates and adjust to his new body, Naruto decided to test his strength after leaving the temple after obtaining everything he could. With great surprise and amazement, Naruto pulled out a kunai and threw it as hard as he could at a tree, only to watch as the kunai buried itself up to the ring in the tree. Naruto grinned and thought, damn, I've really gotten stronger. He knew he would be able to train a lot to better control his new strength. The Uzumaki then set out to return to the village, feeling more prepared and determined than ever. Time. Skip. One day. Sarutobi questioned, skeptically glancing at the photo and Naruto sitting in front of him. Naruto. Are you sure you want this to be your ninja registration picture? Wearing a transformation like that? Along with his new appearance, Naruto also received new clothing. He is now sporting fingerless black gloves, black leather jacket with burnt orange edging and lines down the sleeves featuring the Uzumaki swirl on the back, black pants with burnt orange lines running down the sides, mesh armor with black accents underneath an identical T-shirt, and black ninja sandals that reach halfway up his shins. While Sarutobi was happy about the change of clothes because he thought it looked more like a ninja than a bright orange outfit, he wasn't sure it was a good idea to change the color of his eyes and hair since he didn't know it was his true face. Naruto explained, "It's not a transformation, hair dye and contacts, or anything like that. This is just my new look." The Sandaime turned to face him, wondering what could have caused the abrupt change in appearance. Hiruzen inquired, "I see. Would you care to tell me what caused this sudden change?" Thinking that something had happened, but Naruto merely narrowed his eyes at the Hokage in response. Naruto, who had lost a lot of faith in and idolization of the Sandaime after discovering he had the Kyuubi sealed in him from a traitor, then merging with Zen. Aku and Yami, retorted, "There's no use asking about that. It won't change me back." The words sounded almost exactly like the ones he had told Naruto the last time he had inquired about his parents, making Hiruzen cringe. The Hokage's demeanor became solemn as he began to question whether or not he had made the right choices about Naruto. Not only did he conceal his parents from him, but he also concealed his burden from him, speaking of them in a tone that seemed callous and heartless, leaving him to grow up in solitude and loneliness for no apparent reason. Thought Sarutobi, considering that he and Danzo had forbidden Mikoto Uchiha, Naruto's own godmother, from taking him and forbade any contact with him at all. Not to say there weren't those who would have taken him in, but Danzo and I took that away as well. Though he didn't like it, he had to grudgingly concur with his old friend and advisor that Naruto's adoption into the Uchiha clan would be too risky. They could not just give the Fox's Jinchuriki to them, since it was suspected that Uchiha had caused the Kyuubi attack. In addition, if a Jinchuriki was descended from a ninja clan, they were supposed to prioritize the welfare of the village over all other considerations and not give preference to any clan other than the one they were born into. This further led him to prohibit Hitomi Hyuga from adopting Naruto. And now it seems like it's coming back to bite me, Hiruzen thought as she noticed Naruto's icy expression before they both turned to face the door. A moment later, the door flew open and a small girl charged at the Hokage, brandishing a wooden shuriken. The girl had brown eyes and messy brown hair that fell past her shoulders. Her complexion was fair, with her donning a blue newsboy hat with a yellow brim, dark blue shorts that ended just above her knees, a white shirt with the Konoha leaf embroidered in blue, a long blue scarf, and blue ninja sandals with black and white circles that resembled eyes on either side. The girl ran to assassinate the Sandaime, who could only sigh, "Old man, prepare to meet you end while I take your title of Hokage," the girl exclaimed before tripping over her scarf, which fell to the ground. "Is that, like, the 20th time today alone?" Hiruzen grimaced as he realized that Kanoka Sarutobi, his granddaughter, was attempting to assassinate him once more. Kanoka, believing a trap had been set, said, "See? Clever old man, setting a trap to stop me, knowing I'd get you." She held her face from hitting the ground. With a deadpan expression, Naruto said, "Not much of an assassination attempt if you run in screaming like a lunatic." Kanoka then shot up and round on the Uzumaki. Kanoka gave Naruto a pointed, "Ah, ha, it wasn't a trap, you try," but stopped short when she realized Naruto was now standing over her, his eyes narrowed due to his intimidating appearance. Kanoka blushed at how dark, cool, and mysterious he also appeared, thinking, "See, cool." However, a man dashed through the doorway before they could speak or take any further action. He wore round sunglasses over his brown eyes and had dark hair. And sporting his bandana style forehead protector and the traditional Konoha shinobi uniform, sans the flak jacket. "And there's Ebisu," Hiruzen thought as Kanoka's trainer eventually showed up. Ebisu said, "Ga, are you okay, honorable granddaughter?" with concern, only to narrow his eyes as he noticed Naruto as well. "It's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but he looks different," Ebisu thought, sensing the fox was assuming command due to his altered appearance. "You, move away from the honorable granddaughter. You never know what kind of trouble you could be with your appearance," Ebisu said, realizing he had to use caution because Kanoka and the Hokage were present. However, Naruto interrupted him by picking his ear. Naruto smirked and said, "I'm sorry, what was that? I just have a hard time understanding close-minded idiots with their heads shoved up their own asses. Unless you're that much of a bitch, You need to feel tough by picking on kids. Which is it, bitch? The Tokubetsu Jonin shuddered in Kanoka's presence. Ebisu yelled, "Why you? Watch your language in front of the Sandame's granddaughter, you delinquent." Naruto looked up at the Hokage, who nodded in agreement. Hiruzen said, "Yes, this is my granddaughter, Kanoka Sarutobi. Kanoka, this is Naruto Uzumaki, a new genin." The boy with the whiskers was startled and wondered why he had never seen her before. Considering all the times he's spent hanging out with the Sandame, he had never before seen or heard of Kanoka. Kanoka grinned, feeling a little more confident now that Naruto was aware of her identity. Kanoka exclaimed, somewhat dejectedly, "Yeah, that's right. I'm the granddaughter of the Hokage. That means there's nothing you can do to me." Realizing that now that he knows her grandfather is the Hokage, he will just be like everyone else. Only for Naruto to scoff and pull her hat down over her eyes, causing Kanoka to yell. As Naruto turned to leave, Kanoka fixed her hat and stared at him in shock and amazement. Try saying that to an enemy ninja, see if it'll get the reaction you're expecting. If they don't kill you before you can even get a word out, then expect them to take you as a hostage to be used against the Hokage, Naruto said. Wow. Did he not care? Though somewhat shaken by what he said, Kanoka thought, amazed at how he didn't care that she was the Hokage's granddaughter. Ebisu began rambling on about what Kanoka should do and how she should listen to him if she wants to become Hokage, completely missing Kanoka slinking away when he turned away from her. Honorable granddaughter, please, you should not associate yourself with someone like that, and ignore his lies. There is no need to worry of anything like that happening to you. You also should not waste your time drawing riffraff such as him into a fight, even if he deserves. Because at the end of the day, he's far beneath you and you should never stoop to his level, Ebisu said. Ebisu looked at Kanoka and was startled to see that she was nowhere to be found. Yes, with my great skill, I can take you quickly and easily to the top. But you must always stay close to me. You understand me, right, honorable granddaughter? He said. Where'd she go now? Ebisu exclaimed, terrified that she had escaped once more. To the dismay of Ebisu, Sarutobi remarked, I think she followed Naruto, but I have no idea where they're going. She had pursued the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and was running out the door to find them. The Sandame laughs at the sight, knowing that he will find it entertaining to see what happens. In partnership with Naruto. Naruto heard Kanoka following him as he strolled through the village, mentally sighing. He glanced over to see her covered up in a cloak that matched the color of the ground. Not that it would be difficult to see her, since she wasn't even completely disguising herself. Naruto thought, ignore the child, and she'll go away. He kept walking, ignoring Kanoka as she followed him, until he noticed someone up ahead, which made him smile. The girl had pale skin, onyx black eyes, and long, wavy black hair with a blue tint. She had a two-side-up hairstyle, where a portion of her hair was tied up into twin tails with black ribbons. Wearing a navy blue turtleneck with the Uchiha clan symbol on the back, black spandex shorts that reached halfway down her thighs, a short white skirt, blue ninja sandals, and a forehead protector around her forehead. Naruto greeted his friend, Satsuki, with a, "Hey Satsuki." Satsuki gave him a startled look. What? They are acquainted with one another. Kanoka narrowed her eyes at Satsuki and sighed, irritated that it seemed like she was friends with Naruto. Naruto? What's up with the look? Satsuki questioned, perplexed by the way the Uzumaki looked and was dressed. But you definitely won't hear me grumbling, Satsuki added in her head, taking in her friend, Crush's attractive appearance. Naruto grinned and said, I thought a change was in order, now that I'm officially a ninja. This caused Satsuki to notice the headband he was wearing as a belt. She was shocked because she had assumed he had failed the genin test. Satsuki asked, glancing at the spot where Kanoka was hiding. She was trying to blend in with the fence, but she failed because her cloak was being held the incorrect way, and Naruto was moaning that she was still there. You're gonna have to tell me how that happened. But first, mind telling me about the kid following you? Satsuki asked. Turning around, Naruto said, I hoped that ignoring her would make her go away. Naruto made Kanoka take off her cloak and said, okay, come out now, brat. I already have one stalker. I don't need another one. They heard a eep, and then saw an older girl come out as well. She was a thin girl with lavender tinged pale white eyes, short dark blue hair styled in a Heim cut, and fair skin. She was wearing a cream-colored hooded jacket with fur around the hem and cuffs. a blue pair of pants with a pouch on her right thigh, blue ninja sandals, and a forehead protector loosely wrapped around her neck. She was identified by Naruto and Satsuki as Hinata Hyuga, one of their academy classmates. Satsuki exclaimed, "You actually knew Hinata was following you too?" It was obvious that Kanoka was following her because she was currently terrible at sneaking, but it was shocking that Naruto was also aware of Hinata considering how often she had seen him. Naruto asked, "You knew she's been following me?" After sensing someone was following him but not realizing it was Hinata and not wanting Satsuki to find out. Satsuki exclaimed, "Everyone knew. You were just too dense to notice," before glancing at the bashful Hyuga, who appeared mortified at being discovered. Even though Hinata and Satsuki were both crushing on the same guy, Satsuki wasn't really bothered by him. She was just shocked that Naruto had finally noticed that she was actually following him. Before coughing into his hand, Naruto blushed in shame that it appeared everyone knew Hinata had been pursuing him. Looking at Hinata and Kanoka, Naruto said, Right. Anyway. Why are you two following me?" Wanting to know why they were pursuing him. Hinata, blushing at her crush's appearance, replied, I heard that your appearance had changed Naruto.kun a. and I just wanted to s.se.c for myself. I.itl. Look Sen. Nice. She couldn't help but admit that, although she liked his blonde hair and blue eyes, his new appearance and clothes also looked really great. After their meeting, Kanoka expressed her desire for Naruto to train her, saying, "Well, I want to become your apprentice. After seeing how strong you are, I want you to train me so I can be strong just like you." She believed Naruto must be extremely strong to not care that she was the Hokage's granddaughter. The former blonde briefly glanced between them before turning to face Satsuki. Naruto asked, looking at Hinata and Kanoka, "Well, I was going to go get some training done and was going to ask if you wanted to join me, Satsuki. Would you two also like to join me as well?" Not wanting to be impolite by not making the same invitation to them. Hinata blushed at the thought of spending time with Naruto but was happy at the opportunity to train together. Trail training T. Together? Sure, th. That sounds great. Satsuki nodded and said, "Sure, I was planning to get some training done myself." She was aware that it would be preferable to train with others in order to have some sparring partners. Kanoka expressed her desire to travel and begin studying under Naruto, saying, "Yeah, I want to go too, and see what you can teach me." Naruto said, "Great, then let's go," and the four of them left for the training grounds, fortunately finding an empty one they could use. After arriving, Naruto created 20 shadow clones, much to Satsuki and Hinata's surprise considering all of his prior attempts at cloning. And more so when they realized they were complete clones. Before throwing the scrolls containing the Fuinjutsu books and the ninjutsu scrolls he found at his clones, Naruto said, "5 of you get started on those Fuinjutsu books, another 5 on those ninjutsu, another 5 on chakra control, and the last 5 will work on taijutsu." He expressed gratitude to his darkness for not having missed the memory feedback aspect of the shadow clone jutsu, which allowed him to discover it after they merged. Hinata questioned, shocked and perplexed as to how he could create so many clones and yet be training them as well. Naruto.kun. H. How did you make all those clones? And W. Why are you having them train? They're called shadow clones, a more advanced clone jutsu that divides the user's chakra evenly amongst the clones, making them indistinguishable from the original. And something useful about them is that anything a shadow clone learns and experiences is transferred back to the original. Naruto clarified, much to their astonishment. Satsuki asked, "When did you get a jutsu like that? And does it have something to do with your changed appearance and you passing the genin test?" The Uzumaki nodded in answer. Naruto started telling them about how Mizuki had tricked him into stealing the forbidden scroll, passing it off as a make-up test only to have it exposed as a lie. "Yes, it does. It happened after I failed the graduation test and Mizuki approached me," he said. He may have been the first academy student to become a genin through a field promotion when he told them how he beat the traitor using the shadow clone jutsu and Iruka giving him his headband. Then, leaving out the details of his encounter with Zen Aku and his discovery of the wolf mask, he told them about his discovery of the mask storage temple. "And once I put on the mask, I felt much stronger to accomplish this and changed to look like this." The girls were shocked to see the kunai buried into the tree. Naruto continued, "And after I put on the mask, I transformed to look like this, along with feeling more calm and focused than I ever have. while the mask seemed to have merged with me. After scoffing and turning to face Uzumaki, Satsuki and Hinata blushed as they turned to face Naruto once more and noticed how much more muscular and developed he appeared. Satsuki said, "While I understand falling for Mizuki's trick, since you were desperate and just wanted a way to become a ninja. You were an idiot for putting on a random mask you found in an abandoned shrine, while having no idea what it would do if you put it on. You're lucky it wasn't meant to kill or control whoever wore it." She acknowledged that Naruto was desperate to become a ninja and couldn't blame him for falling for Mizuki's deceit, but she wouldn't absolve him of responsibility for donning a random mask. Naruto, now more self-aware and trying to improve himself, said, "I know, and in hindsight I should have considered something like that could happen. But common sense was never my strong point. Well, I'm happy that Naruto.kun is okay and that everything worked out in the end. However, I agree with Satsuki that it was quite reckless and dangerous." Hinata said, relieved that her crush was safe but concurring with Satsuki that he ought to have exercised more caution. Kanoka exclaimed in shock, amazed at his own ability to defeat a Chunin and pleased that she had made the right decision in selecting Naruto as her new teacher. "That is so awesome. I knew I made the right choice in choosing you to train me and be my Aniki," Kanoka exclaimed. The three were taken aback by her last remark, particularly Naruto, who had not anticipated her saying it. Naruto said, Right. Anyway, let's get started. We're here to train, so let's get started." The girls nodded as they began their training. While Hinata, Satsuki, and Naruto were fighting, the former two noticed that Hinata appeared to be holding herself back from hurting them. They could tell she was still holding back and not fighting at her best even when she was concentrating on merely avoiding or deflecting their attacks. Kanoka was made to watch them from a distance in order for her to learn from watching them spar. Once they had a good sense of each other's abilities, they began assisting Kanoka with her own taijutsu, fixing some of her stance's flaws to make it more stable and less likely to bring her down, and assisting her in determining where to strike an opponent to deal the greatest damage and how much force to put into her blows. Given that one of the Juken's primary concerns was striking power and knowing when to strike, Hinata assisted her with the latter. In addition to teaching them the ninjutsu they already knew, Hinata was able to assist them once more with their chakra control training. Since the Juken also required advanced control, she is grateful for her Byakugan and some of the chakra control exercises she learned during her training. Demonstrating the surface walking exercises to Naruto and Satsuki, who were astounded by her demonstration. Kanoka was taught the leaf exercise, which involves placing a leaf on her forehead and using her chakra to keep it there. They also mentioned that once she manages to get one leaf, her work will stick to her more, which will help her focus on multiple tasks at once and gain more control. After discovering a few elemental ninjutsu for the wind style, water style, fire style, earth style, and lightning style ninjutsu, Naruto also practiced using some of the ninjutsu he had obtained from the mask storage temple. Given that Satsuki has prior experience using fire style ninjutsu, she was allowed to use it. In addition, after witnessing Hinata's fluid movements during sparring, she was able to persuade her to start extending her skill set by taking the water style ninjutsu scroll. 2, named Beast Wave Palm and Beast Wave Gale Palm, were discovered while Uzumaki was practicing with the wind style ones. After training for several hours, the group decided to take a break because they felt like they had accomplished a lot. Naruto also destroyed his clones so that everything they had learned would be sent back to him. Naruto said, "Well, that was pretty productive." The girls nodded in agreement. Happy to add more ninjutsu to her collection, Satsuki said, "It was, and thanks for the new fire style ninjutsu. They'll definitely come in handy." Hinata grinned at her crush and said, and thank you for letting me try the water style ninjutsu scroll. Naruto.kun. Her clan typically stuck to their Byakugan and Juken, but she'll admit it would be nice to expand her arsenal and learn new things. Naruto looked at the Bluenet and said, "No problem. Though Hinata, why weren't you fighting seriously while we were sparring?" This caused the Bluenet to freeze and Satsuki to turn to stare at her as well. Satsuki added, "I'm wondering that too. You only dodged or deflected our attacks, never trying to counter." She did not attempt to defend herself. Hinata looked down and said, I didn't really want to hurt either of you, Saidi. Didn't try striking you. Sorry." She thought they would think less of her and that she was weak for not fighting back. "Why? You don't want to hurt the people you care about, it's not something to be ashamed about," Satsuki uttered. shocking the Hyuga with her remarks despite knowing Hinata was kind and disliked hurting people. Hinata was surprised to hear Naruto say, "Satsuki's right, don't be ashamed for being kind. In fact, it makes you strong since you still choose to fight, even if you don't like it." However, Hinata was also relieved that he believed she was strong. Naruto said, causing the blue net to look at him wide-eyed. "But you will have to learn to attack your opponents, Hinata, cause they won't hesitate to attack you. If it helps, I can make some transformed shadow clones you can practice on, that way you can attack them without hesitation." Really? Hinata questioned, not anticipating that he would make her feel more at ease and comfortable engaging in combat with his clones. Naruto shrugged and said, "Yeah, it's better to learn here than to be forced to fight out on a mission." Satsuki continued, since she had been considering fusing ninjutsu into her taijutsu and assumed Hinata could do the same. "Another thing you could work on is altering your fighting style, making it both defensive and offensive, like with new techniques. Or even incorporating elemental ninjutsu into your juken. Something like pushing elemental chakra into a person's tenketsu or body to cause different effects." Causing Hinata to exchange pensive looks with the two before grinning and nodding in response. With their support and guidance, Hinata felt more determined. That sounds like a really great idea, Satsuki. I'll let you know when I think of something. And thank you for the offer to help my training, Naruto-kun, Hinata exclaimed. Naruto turned to look at Kanoka after the two nodded in agreement, happy to be able to assist her in beginning to develop and grow. Naruto asked, attracting the attention of Satsuki and Hinata as they turned to face the younger girl and drawing Kanoka's attention downward. "So, mind explaining why you were trying to attack your grandfather?" Naruto asked. As Satsuki and Hinata were shocked to learn she was the Hokage's granddaughter, Kanoka sadly remarked, "My grandfather named me Kanoka, after the village, so it should be easy to remember. But no one calls me that name, not one person in the whole village. That's because when they look at me they don't really see me, all they see is the honorable granddaughter of the Hokage. No one knows who I am." Kanoka, desiring to be recognized as more than just the Hokage's granddaughter, exclaimed, "I can't stand it anymore. It's like I'm invisible, like I don't exist, and I hate it. That's the reason why I've got to become Hokage now, so people will know who I am." The brunette was about to yell when Naruto abruptly flicked her forehead, knocking her back while she sat up and gave him a frustrated look. Itachi used to do that to Satsuki before the massacre, so seeing it gave her a somber case of déjà vu. Despite the memories it evoked, Satsuki couldn't suppress a laugh at what she saw. Angry at his motivation, Kanoka yelled, "What was that for?" Naruto responded, surprising the girls, especially Satsuki and Hinata, by saying, "To hopefully knock some sense into you. You can't just suddenly become Hokage in a day, no matter what anyone tells you. It takes years of training to become Hokage, and even then strength isn't everything. You need to be smart and make difficult decisions. But more than that, you have to do everything you can for the good of the village, no matter what choices or sacrifices you have to make." Adding to Kanoka's frustration, Naruto said, "Though even if you did all that, you still wouldn't get what you want." Kanoka interrupted Naruto, saying, "Yes, I would. I'd become Hokage and everyone would see." Naruto said, causing the brunette's eyes to widen before she looked down and realized he was correct. "Everyone would see you becoming Hokage exactly like your grandfather, that you only got the title because you're his granddaughter, so it'd be obvious you'd be just like him. People would continue to compare her to her grandfather if she were to become Hokage, claiming that he was Hokage and that she only received the title because she is Kanoka." She turned to face Naruto as he spoke, "But that also doesn't mean you still can't be acknowledged in other ways?" Kanoka asked, looking at Naruto. "How? Be better and be yourself, while crafting your own identity as a ninja. Don't care what people call you or see you as, just be yourself, keep training and improving, work hard, and never give up. To be acknowledged as yourself, then become as great as you can be. Not as great as your grandfather, not as great as the Hokage, not as great as anyone else, but you. Don't work to be acknowledged for some title. Work to be acknowledged for being Kanoka Sarutobi, a great and powerful ninja," said Naruto, with Kanoka staring at him amazement. Remarkably, Naruto even said, "And for the record, I still don't care who your grandfather is or what clan you're from, you're just Kanoka to me." Satsuki spoke, seeing both Kanoka's desire to grow stronger and a little bit of herself in the young Sarutobi, with how she was constantly compared to Itachi. He's right, you know. You should seek to be as strong and great as you can be, not as great as somebody else. Otherwise, it won't mean anything if you stay trapped in someone else's shadow. Trust me, I know what it's like to be in the shadow of another and having to constantly be compared to them. I also don't really care if the Hokage's your grandfather. What I care about is if you try to improve yourself. And from what I've seen so far, you're doing pretty good. Hinata continued, grinning at the brunette and making her look at the three in shock. Yeah, you're already learning and getting better, Kanoka. Just keep training and you'll keep growing better and better each day. He's really so amazing. Before yelling when he flicked her forehead once more, Kanoka thought as she looked at Naruto, blushing at what he said about how she could be stronger and that he saw her as just Kanoka. Kanoka yelled, "Why'd you do that again?" but was met with Naruto's smug expression. Naruto said, "It amuses me. And your pouting face is adorable." The little girl blushed at receiving such praise. As Satsuki and Hinata observed Kanoka's gaze on Naruto, they surmised that the girl was beginning to grow fond of him, and his words only served to confirm her feelings. Kanoka said, recalling what she had heard between her grandfather and Naruto, which had drawn the attention of Satsuki and Hinata. Aniki. Do you hate my grandfather? 'Cause I overheard you two talking earlier and it sounded like you hate him." They were both shocked to learn this because they had seen how close Naruto and the Sandaime were and had not imagined he would be able to hate the Hokage. Naruto turned to Satsuki and Hinata and said, "I don't hate him, Kanoka. But some recent events and learning about some secrets he kept from me has made it so I can no longer trust or respect him, like I used to." Hinata questioned, "What secrets did the Hokage keep from you, Naruto?" She didn't think the Hokage would with their close relationship with Naruto. Satsuki asked, her eyes narrowing as she wondered if he hadn't told them everything that had happened. "And what recent events?" she asked. Not wanting them to find out about the Kyuubi, Zen, Aku, or that he seemingly belonged to a clan, Naruto silently cursed at his mistake. While it annoyed the girls that he wouldn't tell them, Naruto explained, "It's personal and I don't want to talk about it at the moment. But I'll tell you all eventually when I'm comfortable enough to tell you." If the girls were big enough to make him lose faith in or respect for the Hokage, then he could understand his reasoning. The group rose to resume training, feeling rejuvenated and at ease, but they were interrupted when Ebisu materialized on a tree branch. "I've found you at last," Ebisu exclaimed, then narrowed his eyes upon seeing the Jinchuriki with Satsuki, Hinata, and Kanoka alongside. "Who the hell is this guy?" Satsuki asked, eyebrows raised at Ebisu's arrival. "I am the Honorable's personal trainer," Ebisu began, only to be interrupted. Naruto grinned and asked, "He's Kanoka's instructor who's also a bitch. How's it going, bitch?" This greatly infuriated Ebisu. Ebisu pushed up his glasses and exclaimed, "How dare you, you no good delinquent. I am a Tokubetsu Jonin, an elite, and was handpicked to see to the Honorable Granddaughter's training." Satsuki grinned and said, "Not a very good trainer if it took you this long to find us." Ebisu became increasingly irritated at her comment. In an attempt to diffuse the tension, Hinata said, Maybe you wouldn't mind letting Kanoka train with us, since she's already getting better with her taijutsu stances and the leaf exercise." To her dismay, Ebisu laughed. "Nonsense. Two of you are children and the other is nothing but a troublemaker that will corrupt the Honorable Granddaughter. I am more than capable of overseeing her training alone. Now come along, it's time to go home," Ebisu said while Kanoka sighed. Kanoka declared, desiring to remain with the three genin, "No way, I'm training with Aniki, Satsuki, Nichan, and Hinata. Nichan. They'll help me get stronger to surpass my grandfather and be even better." Going over to them, Ebisu said, "Becoming Hokage is more than just being a fighter. He must have virtue, honor, wisdom, and they must be skilled at 1,000 jutsu, and you don't even know one. But I can help you get there, trust me and listen to my words, and you'll be a Hokage in no time." Kanoka, however, gave him a scowl and shook her head. Shouting, "I said no, becoming Hokage isn't easy or has shortcuts. Even if I did still want to be Hokage, I won't until after I've already surpassed my grandfather and shown everyone what I can do on my own." Kanoka had changed her mind and was now looking past Ebisu's lessons and shortcuts to strength. Ebisu exclaimed, startled that Kanoka appeared to have changed his mind about becoming Hokage. What? But Honorable Granddaughter, becoming Hokage will have everyone see you just as your grandfather, a wise and powerful leader. Isn't that what you want? Kanoka shot back with a determined expression, saying, "No way, I don't want to be like my grandfather. I want to be myself and be acknowledged for who I am." Standing in front of Kanoka, Naruto said, "You heard her, she doesn't want to go with you. So unless you want to be humiliated by the troublemaker, then leave." Ebisu narrowed his eyes at him and then grinned. Naruto nodded in agreement as Ebisu stated, "If you're foolish enough to challenge me, then I accept. But just know, I'm on a completely different level than Mizuki and I won't be taken down by mere clones." Naruto created dozens of clones, much to the girl's amazement at how many clones he could make. "Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't be defeated that easily. Plus, I did catch Mizuki off guard while he underestimated me and was unaware that I learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu. As well as how many I could create. But you forget, we're ninja. Shadow Clone Jutsu." Satsuki thought, there are so many of them, not anticipating that Naruto would be able to create even more clones. As Hinata activated her Byakugan, she thought, "I can't even tell them apart with my Byakugan," but she was shocked to see that all of the shadow clones were identical to Naruto. "Eniki is really awesome." Kanoka stared at all the clones, amazed. Ebisu sprang into a stance and exclaimed, "HMPH, very well. Ready?" Naruto smirked as he and his clones were engulfed in clouds of smoke, but none of them were prepared for what was revealed when the smoke cleared. Hundreds of nude, voluptuous girls with long black hair pulled back into pigtails were exposed, posing provocatively with just a few thin strands of smoke covering their crotches and breasts. The girls blushed brightly at the sight, much to the other girls' dismay. To his surprise, Ebisu was grabbed and held while blood spurted from his nose by the girls as they hurried towards him, saying, "Harem Jutsu." The girls gave him a menacing smile before one of them abruptly slammed her foot between his legs and held him down. Ebisu was thrown into the air, screaming in agony as he went, only to fall unconscious to the ground. "Ha! How do you like my harem jutsu?" Naruto exclaimed as he reversed his transformation and unleashed his clones. Satsuki, embarrassed and irritated, said, "Kami. Damn it, Naruto," even though she was unable to disagree with the outcome. With blood streaming from her nose and her entire face turning bright red, Hinata said blankly, her Byakugan still activated so she could see Naruto and his transformed clones without any obstruction. With amazement and excitement at having learned such a strong jutsu, Kanoka exclaimed, "Wow. You beat him like it was nothing. Eniki. Can you teach me that jutsu?" Naruto grinned and gave her a pat on the back. Naruto responded, making the three girls blush, Hinata still having a glazed overlook in her eyes. "Maybe when you're older and still interested in learning it. But I think you, Hinata, and Satsuki won't need it, unless you decide to make a male variation to use on other girls. As I'm sure you'll grow into a great beauty, while Satsuki and Hinata are already very beautiful themselves, and will only become more so. So any transformation probably wouldn't do you three justice." The team resumed training after taking a few minutes to gather themselves and cool down. In company with Hiruzen, Sarutobi had been observing them through his crystal ball, but they were unaware of it. It's good to see that despite his changes, Naruto appears to be the same person. Even though he no longer wants to be Hokage, Naruto's admission to the girls that he no longer has faith in him has the Sandaime thinking, forcing him to glance out the window at his predecessor's or successor's stone head. "Minato, it seems like I've failed more than I realized. I thought I was honoring your wishes and doing what was best for Naruto, but it seems like I've only done the opposite," Sarutobi remarked, wondering how things might have turned out differently if he and Kushina had lived through that night and had the opportunity to raise Naruto on their own. And what was this mask that Naruto discovered, and how could it have originated? Considering the mask that has altered Naruto to such an extent, Hiruzen pondered, knowing that Naruto won't divulge anything to him after losing his confidence. Additionally, since it's been combined with Naruto, he is unable to visit the shrine in person to look it over. He is limited to observing and hoping that one day he will be given the opportunity to make amends for some of his wrongdoings. In addition to praying that nothing else occurs that would drive Naruto farther away from Konoha. When Naruto woke up, he thought, today's the day. He knew that today was team assignment, and if he passed, he and the other students would be placed on genin teams. After spending the last week training with Satsuki, Hinata, and sporadically Kanoka when she could make it, the Uzumaki felt a lot more confident in himself. After getting up, Naruto took a shower, changed into his clothes, and then proceeded to prepare breakfast for himself, pausing only to get the milk. The awful smell was making his face furrow, and when the ravenette checked, she discovered it had long since expired. While throwing the expired milk in the trash, Naruto made a mental note to himself to go grocery shopping, since it had been a while since he had done so. Following his breakfast, Naruto headed towards the academy, curious about his future teammates and their Jonin-sensei. Knowing he won't waste his time with someone like that, all he can hope for is that he won't be stuck with someone who is biased against him because of the fox. As soon as they reached the academy, the Jinchuriki saw that everyone else had already arrived and went inside to the classroom. Observing that no one appeared shocked to see him, considering that they were aware of his failure, or even gave him more than a cursory glance. When Naruto saw Satsuki and Hinata, he went to sit next to them and grinned at the girls, who then turned to face him. Since no one has actually seen Naruto in the last week save for them and Kanoka, Satsuki said, if you're wondering why no one's looking at you, they think your new appearance is just a rumor. As a result, they didn't believe the rumors about his new appearance. Hinata grinned and said, that, or you're playing some new prank. She knew it would make them laugh when they realized it wasn't a hoax. Naruto grinned and said, then that'll just make it even better when they hear my name. Uchiha and Hyuga nodded in agreement. While they trained together, Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata had gotten to know each other better over the previous week, developing a close friendship. In addition, both girls assisted Naruto in catching up with the other students in their class, which was made possible by his shadow clones giving him knowledge and experience. Though Hinata had the most experience using taijutsu outside of Kiba, she also assisted Naruto and Satsuki with their chakra control and improving their skills. Hinata, on the other hand, received support from Naruto and Satsuki regarding herself, assurance, tenacity, and intention to lead her opponents in combat. Though Hinata was pleased that she at least stopped stammering and feigning around Naruto, she was still a work in progress. They also encountered some difficulties when Hinata was learning water-style ninjutsu because, despite her fighting style's fluid movements, she didn't appear to possess a water affinity as Naruto had speculated. They then had her examine a few more scrolls and practice some ninjutsu to see which ones worked best for her. After some trial and error, she soon realized that she was more adept at learning the fire-style and lightning-style ninjutsu. Given her own prior experience using them, Satsuki assisted her in working on the fire-style ninjutsu. Despite this, Hinata continued to practice water-style ninjutsu because she had already committed to them and thought she would still gain from them. When Kanoka joined the group, the three also assisted with her training. This was especially important because she would be joining the academy in the upcoming academic year. This also resulted in Naruto teaching her to carry on his legacy as an agent of chaos in the academy. Naruto smirked and thought, they'll never know peace. He wanted to ensure that the academy instructors would always be tormented and that, even with him gone, they would mistakenly believe they are safe until Kanoka shows up. Given how often they had witnessed Naruto teaching Kanoka practical jokes, Satsuki and Hinata exchanged glances as they noticed the smirk on his face. Eventually, the Chunin stood in front of the class, grinning at his now former students, and Iruka arrived, bringing a clipboard with him and drawing everyone's attention. Now then, Team 1. Iruka said as he started listing all the teams, which genin were on them, and who their teachers are. I know you're all excited to see what teams you'll be on and who your Jonin instructors will be, so let's not waste any time. But first, I want to say good luck to all of you and do your very best on missions while performing your duties as ninja. Saying, Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Satsuki Uchiha, and Hinata Hyuga. Your instructor is Kakashi Hitaki. Iruka said, causing Hinata to grin broadly at being on a team with her friends and her crush. Satsuki and Naruto also seemed happy to be on the same team. Even though the other students didn't know Naruto had failed the graduation exam, they were still perplexed to hear his name. One of the genin asked, Iruka, Sensei, didn't Naruto fail? Why is he on a team? Another person questioned, and where even is he if he's supposed to be here, since they hadn't seen Naruto anywhere in the classroom. Iruka gestured with the clipboard to Naruto's location and said, he's sitting right there. The rest of the class turned to stare at him, shocked to learn that the rumors about his appearance were indeed true. Revealed Iruka, shocking some students and impressing some if Iruka was there to see Naruto defeat a traitor, while others were skeptical of the claim or outright didn't believe it. As for why Naruto's here, he was able to graduate after aiding in exposure and capture of a traitor, something I was there to witness personally. so he was able to receive a field promotion to genin. This is really problematic. It irritates me that they had to be informed that he was here, since only one person in Konoha had whisker marks and Satsuki had only ever allowed Naruto to sit next to her. Shikamaru Nara, who had noticed Naruto when he first entered, thought, now that I've heard he helped capture a traitor, it'll be impossible to deal with Naruto now. Since he considered it too troublesome to bring up, he remained silent even though no one else was able to see it. Interesting, if Naruto really assisted in capturing a traitor, then it would appear that he is stronger than he seems. My Kakaichu also feels that his chakra has changed, feeling more animalistic and primal. Though Shino Aburame also noticed Naruto when he entered after his Kakaichu tasted his chakra and knew it was him, she sensed something different about him. Like Kiba's, only much stronger, she thought. Due to his introverted personality and preference for solitude, the Aburame remained silent. A genin asked, even if that's true, then what's with the transformation, since Naruto's new look was left unaccounted for? Another said, assuming the Uzumaki was attempting to look cool, he's probably just trying to act cool. Another genin said, assuming it was just another of Naruto's practical jokes, I bet the dead last is just trying to pull a prank. As Kiba stood up and walked over to Naruto, she narrowed her eyes. Kiba, thinking he was just wearing a transformation, exclaimed, nice try with the transformation, now get rid of it. There's no way you could look like that, or even think of getting rid of that stupid jumpsuit. But then he heard Akamaru whimper as he saw his partner duck into his jacket. Kiba asked, perplexed as to what could have caused his partner to behave in such a way, what's the mat? But was interrupted when he glanced up at Naruto and abruptly retreated upon seeing the Uzumaki narrow his gaze at him. Naruto said in a low voice, walk away, now. Kiba swallowed and hurried back to his seat, much to everyone's surprise, including Kiba, not realizing what had happened. Only realizing it when he turned to face Akamaru and saw that everything Naruto did set off their innate desire to bow to the stronger pack member. Something his sister Hana, when she's really pissed off with him, and only his mother could do sometimes. The Inuzuka was shocked that Naruto, of all people, was able to elicit a response from them and wondered how he accomplished it. How did that happen? Cried a genin, surprised that Kiba, who is typically boisterous and brazen, would actually yield to Naruto of all people. Some of them began to believe that Kiba's abrupt metamorphosis involved more than just physical changes. With a totally serious expression, Naruto said, maybe I was kidnapped and experimented on by Orochimaru. This caused everyone to stare at him, some of them nervously, but the Uzumaki laughed at their worried looks, indicating that he was only kidding. Okay, enough, we still have the remaining teams to get through. Now then, Team 8 will be Shino Aburame, Kiba Inuzuka and Sakura Haruno. Your instructor is Kurenai Yuhi. Team 9 is still in rotation from last year. Team 10 will be Shikamaru Nara, Shoji Akamichi and Ino Yamanaka. Your instructor is Asuma Sarutobi. Team 11, Iruka said as he continued to list the remaining teams. Office of the Hokage. Meanwhile, there were a few people in the Hokage's office who were wondering why Team 7 and Team 8 had suddenly changed. Being aware that Team 7 has historically shared the titles of Dead Last, Top Kunoichi, and Rookie of the Year, which were Satsuki, Sakura, and Naruto in this batch of genin, in that order. Unable to understand why he was assigned Hinata as his student instead of Sakura, Kakashi inquired, a Hokage. Sama, if you don't mind me asking, why the last-minute change? Kurenai, irritated, asked, I'd also like to know about the change Hokage. Sama. And why did you choose to switch Hinata and Sakura specifically? Because of her past relationship with the girl. She had been looking forward to having Hinata as one of her students. My goal was to break free from the custom of pairing the Rookie of the Year, Top Kunoichi, and Dead Last together. This tradition was originally intended to help the Dead Last catch up with their peers and foster teamwork, but it lost its original meaning when the Ninja Wars broke out and more troops were needed for the battlefield, including recently minted genin who were about to be sent to their deaths. As for my choice, Hinata, I think she'd work well with Naruto and Satsuki, while Sakura does have some of the best chakra control in her class, making her an ideal candidate to learn Genjutsu, said Sarutobi, who had been observing the three train together for the past week and saw how well the three worked as a team. Everyone there, including Kakashi, was satisfied with the response and could see the Hokage's perspective. Kurenai was still irritated, but she found comfort in the fact that Sakura could be her protege due to her chakra control and talent in genjutsu. As everyone filed out of the office until only Kakashi remained, Sarutobi said, "Now then, if that's all, you're dismissed to go meet with your teams. Except you, Kakashi, stay for a moment." "You needed me for something, Hokage." "Sama?" Kakashi inquired. The Hokage then got to his feet and gestured for the copy ninja to follow him into the village and out of the tower. Hiruzen said, emphasizing, next, in light of all the previous teams he had attempted to convince Kakashi to join that had all failed. "Yes, regarding the next group of genin you'll be in charge of." Kakashi said, "Okay, the next group, if they manage to pass, that is." Kakashi was recalling all of his former genin who had failed the bell test. Either because they failed to cooperate, followed his instructions without feeding their teammate, or even because they engaged in combat in an attempt to eliminate the others. He therefore didn't think that anyone would pass the test. Even if it was just Satsuki, Hinata, and Naruto, they all descended from 3 strong clans and had parents who were also strong. Not including the dojutsu of Satsuki and Hinata, or Naruto's Kyuubi in case he ever mastered the fox's abilities. "Don't look so upset. Guy has already had his own team for a year and gone out on plenty of missions with them. Aren't you eager to set out with your own students?" the Sandame inquired. Kakashi muttered, unsure of how to answer the question. "Well." They stopped in front of a building, and Kakashi looked up to see Naruto's apartment building. Sarutobi said, "Either way, I'm sure this new batch of genin will hold your interest." "I'm still shocked Naruto managed to turn into a genin, let alone master the shadow clone jutsu," remarked Kakashi, who had previously heard about Naruto's transformation and his newfound jutsu. Sarutobi smirked and asked, "Hey, interested now?" before they went up to Naruto's apartment. Upon entering, Kakashi was taken aback by the state of the place, as he had anticipated it to be more unclean and disorganized. Given Naruto's demeanor and disposition, Kakashi remarked, "It's surprisingly clean." She hadn't anticipated him to be that concerned about maintaining his apartment's cleanliness. "A week ago you wouldn't be saying that." It's likely due to his new look and personality, as while he's still the same Naruto, he's now much more calm and serious. At least when the situation calls for it. Hiruzen replied, getting the Jonin's attention. Kakashi questioned, finding it odd that Naruto was hardly recognizable from his prior appearance. "Yeah, I've been wondering that. What exactly happened to make him look like that?" Explaining the situation to the copy ninja, the Hokage startled them by saying, "I'm not quite sure about the specifics, but the night Naruto became a genin he stumbled onto the Uzumaki clan's mask storage temple and went inside it, finding a mask that he put on. And whatever it was, it merged with Naruto, making him look like he does now." Kakashi took heed of the warning that it was specifically forbidden to go there, having only learned about it from Minato and Kushina. If the masks were even safe to wear in the first place, it's hard to tell what powers they held inside given the Uzumaki clan's proficiency with Fuinjutsu. And whatever that mask did to Naruto, it seems to also made him less trusting, along with him now being disillusioned after learning I've lied to him about the Kyuubi, not to mention not telling him anything about his parents. Hiruzen continued, and Kakashi began to tighten. Not wanting to think his teacher's son would turn bad, Kakashi asked rhetorically, "You think Naruto could be a flight risk?" He was relieved when the Hokage shook his head. Sarutobi answered, making Kakashi nod in agreement, saying, "No, of that I'm sure of." While Naruto's less trusting and is likely no longer willing to deal with any prejudice against him, he still has those he cares for in the village. But I am concerned that certain individuals in Konoha may turn him into one, if they push him too far. Especially with his change in appearance and who knows what other abilities he gained from that mask. Danzo Shimura, who flashed through both of their minds, recalling how he revealed Naruto's Jinchuriki status. By doing so, he only served to fan the flames by giving the impression that he was to blame for Minato's demise. Furthermore, given the Warhawk's extreme views and paranoia, these modifications might prompt him to take drastic action. Kakashi remarked, understanding that they had to pass his test in order to become his students. "Yeah, I know. I'll do my best to keep Naruto and the rest of my team safe, if they pass my test." "Of course. Though while I know you will, you also don't have any experience in training genin, due to all the teams you've failed. So, if Team 7 does succeed in passing your test, I'll also be assigning someone else to help you in training and protecting them." Sarutobi replied, and Kakashi nodded in agreement. "I understand Hokage. Sama, Kakashi replied, realizing that since he had only ever led Enbu teams, he would probably require assistance in training genin. As they left the apartment to see where Satsuki and Hinata lived, Hiruzen said, "Good. Now let's go. We still have Hinata's and Satsuki's residence to visit as well." With Satsuki, Hinata, and Naruto. As Iruka completed listing the teams, he dismissed Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata, telling them to return in an hour to meet their Jonin sensei while they were eating lunch. Looking at Naruto and Hinata, Satsuki said, "So what do you think our sensei will be like?" She was curious about Kakashi's personality. Uncertain of what to anticipate, Naruto remarked, "Not sure, only that he must be strong to be a Jonin." Surprised by her friend's reaction, Hinata continued, "I've actually heard about Kakashi. He's supposed to be a former Anbu captain and rumored to have over 1,000 jutsu at his disposal. I'm not sure if it's true, but it must mean he at least has access to plenty of different ninjutsu." She knew Kakashi had to be strong at that point. Satsuki said, Well, I'm sure he'll have a lot to teach us then." Naruto and Hinata nodded, showing their excitement for what they might learn from Kakashi. The three of them returned to the classroom after eating their lunch, and soon after that, so did everyone else. Soon afterward, the Jonin started showing up to pick up their students and head out, leaving only Team 7 behind. However, their impatience increased with the amount of time that went by and their teacher still failed to appear. When the three realized that an hour had gone and Kakashi was still nowhere to be found, they reached their breaking point. Gazing at the girls, Naruto asked, "You want to go train?" Figuring since they would be waiting, it would be better to make the most of their time. Hinata followed Satsuki in standing up, saying, "Better than sitting around doing nothing." With a nod from Naruto and Satsuki, Hinata said, "We should leave him a note letting him know where we are, at least. So he doesn't think we just left." They then wrote a note informing Kakashi of their location and pinned it to the door before departing. When Kakashi finally made it to the academy after 2 more hours, he was shocked to see the classroom was empty. The copy ninja, searching the area for potential students, noticed the note attached to the door and was taken aback to see that they had left to go train. Considering that he had never left the classroom with any of the other teams, Kakashi remarked, That's a first. Still, he thought it was a fun way to kill time while they waited for him." Kakashi shunshined away after realizing which training ground they had visited, only to reappear hidden in the trees, where he was still able to observe potential students. Before revealing himself, he wanted to see what they were like during training. As Satsuki performed her fire-style ninjutsu, the Jonin observed Hinata practicing her Juken and, presumably, using transformed clones as targets. Surprisingly, Hinata also appeared to be using elemental ninjutsu. Kakashi was even more shocked when he turned to face Naruto and discovered that the latter was training multiple clones in ninjutsu, taijutsu, chakra control, and even fuinjutsu. That must indicate that he is aware of the Shadow Clone Jutsu's secret, and a Hyuga experimenting with ninjutsu. I wonder what surprising thing a Uchiha like Satsuki will try to learn. Seeing that his prospective students were already not what he had anticipated, Kakashi thought this. Kakashi decided he had had enough and walked to the center of the training area, drawing the attention of the three when Naruto destroyed his clones. Kakashi said, My first impression you three is, you're very strange, but was met with blank stares. Hinata said, raising an eyebrow at Kakashi, and our first impression is you're not very good with showing up on time. Maybe, but I'm happy that you three are training while you wait. Now that we're all here, let's begin with introductions, then share some personal information about ourselves, like our interests, dislikes, hobbies, and future goals, declared Kakashi, as the three genin approached him to take a position in front of him. Kakashi Hitaki introduced himself, making the three of them perspire because he had just revealed his name. I'll go first. My name is Kakashi Hitaki. I like some things and I dislike other things. My dreams for the future, I have lots of hobbies. Hinata was gestured to by Kakashi, who said, now then, you next pale eyes. Hello. My name is Hinata Hyuga. My likes are my friends, my little sister, cinnamon rolls, and training. My dislikes are liars, traitors, those who hurt the people I care about, and a certain seal. My hobbies are pressing flowers, learning new techniques, and improving myself, and my dreams for the future are to become a great kunoichi and to hopefully have a family one day. Hinata said with a hint of blush and gave a brief glance to Naruto before stepping away. As Satsuki's eye twitched at the nickname, Kakashi said. Alright, your turn, sunshine. My name is Satsuki Uchiha, my likes are tomatoes, my friends, training, and training. My dislikes are anything sweet, traitors, annoying nicknames, and one person. My hobbies are training, taking walks, and learning new techniques, and improving what I know. And I don't have a dream for the future. I have a goal to restore my clan and find and kill someone. Satsuki sighed and vowed to find Itachi murder him. Excellent. And lastly, the goth kid. Kakashi said, glancing at Naruto, who appeared unfazed by his own moniker. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, my likes are my friends, those I trust, ramen, training, and gardening. My dislikes are liars, traitors, those who hurt my friends, and late scarecrows. My hobbies are pulling pranks, watering plants, improving myself, and learning new things. My dreams for the future, I don't know, said Naruto with a shrug and Kakashi looking up at him. Alright, pretty standard fare. Even so, Hinata seems a lot more assured than I've heard, presumably as a result of hanging out with Satsuki and Naruto. Though Satsuki's desire to find Itachi is expected, she doesn't appear to be as desperate and obsessed, presumably thanks to Naruto's influence and the fact that she is now friends with Hinata and Naruto. I see what the Hokage meant, Kakashi pondered, knowing that Naruto would never give up on his ambition to become Hokage. Seeing as the Hokage was correct in saying that, despite not being a flight risk, it would only take someone to push him to that point. To the surprise of the three, Kakashi declared, okay, with that out of the way, I have an announcement. None of you are officially genin yet. Satsuki was irritated to hear this and exclaimed, but we already passed the genin test and graduated. Naruto and Hinata nodded in agreement. With an eye smile, Kakashi said, perhaps you passed the Academy's graduation exam, but that's not the true genin test, which will be happening tomorrow at Training Ground 7. Meet me there at 5 a.m. sharp, and one last thing, don't eat breakfast or else you'll throw up. Then, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. The three exchanged a look when they noticed their teacher had left, then nodded and headed back home to get ready for tomorrow. Time. Skip. One day. When Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata arrived at Training Ground 7, they discovered that Kakashi had once again arrived late. Naruto asked rhetorically, you two had breakfast too, right? To which both girls nodded. Knowing that skipping meals would only be harmful to them, Satsuki responded, rolling her eyes, of course, like we were going to do that just because he told us. Naruto and Satsuki had to agree with Hinata when she said, yeah. And given that Kakashi Sensei isn't here and will likely arrive late again, it was probably just to put us at more of a disadvantage during the test. Their satisfaction stemmed from the fact that they disregarded Kakashi's instructions. Making sure they were prepared and warmed up, the three of them began a quick workout to kill time until Kakashi arrived. But also being cautious to save their energy for the test that Kakashi was going to give them. Only pausing when 3 hours had elapsed and Kakashi emerged in a whirl of leaves, observing that the genin had arrived and, judging from the appearance of it, disobeying his orders not to eat breakfast. Before removing 2 bells and leaving the three perplexed as to their significance, Kakashi said, good, you're all here. Then I guess there's no point wasting any more time, onto the test. There are only 2 bells for them to take, so Kakashi said, making them frown, your test is simple. All you three have to do is take these bells from me. Whoever doesn't have a bell at the end of the test fails and gets sent back to the academy. The Jonin nodded in agreement as Naruto said, meaning at least one of us will fail since there are only 2 bells. Kakashi pulled out a timer and set it for 1 hour. The 3 genin instantly jumped back into the trees and went into hiding. That's right, who that is will depend on whichever of 3 gets a bell first. And just know, the only way you'll get a bell is if you come at me with intent to kill. You all have an hour to try and get one, and your time starts now, Kakashi said. After glancing around to see where they might be hiding, Kakashi had to concede that they were already fairly adept at hiding. It took them a few moments to figure out where they were. Kakashi glanced to where each of the genin was hiding, sensing their presence even though he couldn't see them. Let's see, Satsuki's hiding among the trees not too far from me. Hinata in the bushes over there, and Naruto is up in a tree there. It's time to see who initiates contact now. Meanwhile, thinking Kakashi, he took out his book to catch up on his reading. Although he was reading a test when he saw the 3 genin sweat drop, He also deduced that they weren't a real threat to a Jonin. Satsuki thought to herself, but we don't have to beat him, we just need to get the bells. She pulled at a few shuriken before tossing them and curved them in the air in Kakashi's direction to give the impression that she was in a different position. Kakashi raised his hand, catching 2 of the shuriken on his fingers before hurling them at the other ones, knocking them out of the air, without even looking up from his book. Then several kunai were hurled at him from the trees, and the Jonin leapt out of the way. Satsuki used the opportunity to leap into the air above Kakashi while utilizing hand signals. Satsuki yelled, "Fire style! Grand Fireball Jutsu!" and unleashed a massive fireball at Kakashi, surprising the copy ninja with the force of the blow. She already possesses enough chakra to employ a C-rank elemental ninjutsu. Before making use of a substitution to get out of the fireball, Kakashi pondered. Satsuki frowned and saw only a burnt log where Kakashi had been. Then, she saw Kakashi appear behind her and give her a spin kick to the back of her head, which made her quickly back away. "That's impressive, it's not easy to be able to use a C-rank elemental ninjutsu at your age," said Kakashi. Satsuki just gave him a smug smile and resumed using hand signs. Satsuki exclaimed, hurling multiple tiny fireballs towards Kakashi, "You haven't seen anything yet. Fire style. Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu." As he spoke, a massive stream of water shot up in front of Kakashi, creating a wall that stopped the fireballs. "Okay then, let's see what you all know. Water style. Water formation wall." The Hitaki noticed that Satsuki had also thrown shurikens into the fireballs that shot through the water before losing speed. He had to jump back just as the explosive tags exploded when he realized that she had also placed explosive tags on the shurikens. When Satsuki used the explosions to get close, Kakashi swiftly raised his arm to block a kick. The Jonin dodged the Uchiha's blow and slammed his foot into her stomach, knocking her back. The Uchiha continued to move forward, using her momentum to flip over Kakashi and punch him in the side of his head. Only for Kakashi to discover that Satsuki had escaped his attack by using her own substitution. "Fire style. Fox fire!" Satsuki exclaimed, moving back to Kakashi's left as 10 blue fireballs materialized in the shape of a circle in front of her. Using hand gestures, she then hurled the fireballs in Kakashi's direction. After dodging the fireballs, Kakashi had to leap backward as he saw multiple fireballs that resembled ghosts flying in his direction. He grunted as one of the ghosts struck him and burst into a great flame. Satsuki grinned and said, "Fire style. Demon Lantern," enjoying some of the new ninjutsu she had learned from the scrolls Naruto had given her. Her smile faded as her jutsu disappeared, exposing another burnt log and Kakashi nowhere to be seen. The Uchiha then turned to face Kakashi, scanning the area for his potential attack location. Not behind, nor to the left or right, and not above either, that just leaves. Satsuki thought as her eyes widened and she leapt rapidly into the air, barely avoiding having 2 hands suddenly emerge from the ground and grab her ankles. As he materialized above Satsuki, Kakashi exclaimed, "Good reflexes, but not good enough. Water style. Water bullet jutsu," before unleashing a powerful stream of water that struck the Uchiha in the back and sent her crashing into the earth. This time, she was grabbed and hauled underground up to her neck. As the one in the air dispersed and revealed itself to be a shadow clone, Kakashi said, "And earth style. Headhunter jutsu," emerging from the ground as Satsuki glared up at the copy ninja and futilely attempted to break free. Thinking back to the main training area, Kakashi thought, "Okay, that's one down, let's see what Naruto and Hinata will do." He was waiting to see what the remaining genin would do and who would attack next. It was unexpected that Hinata took the initiative to try to sneak up behind Kakashi and use his tenketsu. The Jonin parried Hinata's next blow with a perfectly timed dodge, but his hand went numb in the process. "What the devil is this? I'm sure I didn't let Hinata hit me with one of my tenketsu," Kakashi thought, staring at his hand bewildered, but he had to back up when Hinata tried to hit him again. Kakashi dropped to the ground in order to evade Hinata's next blow, and then swept her legs out from under her, causing the Hyuga to fall to the ground. When Kakashi attempted to kick Hinata away, she was able to put her hands on the ground and flip backwards away from him. She was able to stand up and then charge the Jonin, palm striking his shoulder, but Kakashi was able to evade it. Just when he thought he was dodging Hinata's blows, Kakashi started to get confused and grunted at the sensation that his shoulder was becoming numb like his hand. As Hinata saw this, She couldn't help but smile in her head, but she also knew that in order to try and grab the bells, she would need to slow Kakashi down even more. The blue net then pulled out multiple shuriken and threw them at Kakashi, who dodged them with a kunai. When Hinata approached to land a palm strike to his abdomen, he quickly leapt back, grunting as he felt his foot grow numb as well. Really, what the heck is going on? Thought Kakashi, perplexed as to why Hinata was numbing parts of his body without actually hitting him, before witnessing the girl use hand signals. Lightning style. Lightning ball! Exclaimed Hinata, conjuring up multiple lightning powered balls that were hurled towards Kakashi, who leapt into the air and made hand signals. Wind style. Air bullets! Exclaimed Kakashi as he launched multiple airstrikes towards the lightning balls, scattering them, only to witness Hinata utilizing hand signs once more. Fire style. Foxfire! Declared Hinata, launching 10 blue fireballs at Kakashi. As the fireballs struck the air bullets, they grew larger and more powerful, causing Kakashi to mentally curse the fact that the lightning balls were merely a trick to force him to use a wind-style ninjutsu. Kakashi quickly used a substitution to get away from the attack, breathing a sigh of relief that he had avoided getting burned. They're much better than I anticipated, considering all these potent ninjutsu and which elements are strong and weak against others, Kakashi mused to himself as he had to sidestep another of Hinata's strikes. He grunted as the sensation spread throughout his leg, slowing him down and giving Hinata an opportunity to get close. Hinata declared, "You're within my range of division," before using 2 of Kakashi's tenketsu. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms. Saying, 8 trigrams 30, 2 palms, Hinata delivered a last blow to Kakashi's abdomen, causing him to skid back before collapsing to the ground and muttering in agony. I really did hit him." Hinata grinned as she realized she had hit Kakashi and would be able to ring the bells. Hinata worriedly thought, but there are only 2, so I'd have to decide who to give the other 2. Knowing she couldn't choose between her friends, and then she shook her head. She will simply give the bells to Naruto and Satsuki if she is able to reach them, understanding that they have worked extremely hard to become genin and don't deserve to return to the academy. The Hyuga will be relieved that they pass even though she is disappointed that she won't be able to play on a team with them. But first, I need to see if I can catch them, Hinata thought to herself as she moved cautiously toward Kakashi, prepared to hit him once more just in case. Hinata moved quickly to seize the bells as soon as she was close enough to see them, before he had time to recover. The Hyuga felt paralyzed and fell to the ground, only to cry out when Kakashi suddenly burst into lightning, electrocuting her and making the real Kakashi appear in front of her. After realizing Hinata was manipulating him by making certain parts of his body numb, Kakashi said, "That was pretty good. Channeling lightning chakra into your Juken strikes." Impressed by her ingenuity, Kakashi switched to a lightning style shadow clone after dodging her fireballs. By channeling lightning chakra into her strikes, she'll make it so even if an opponent dodges, the lightning surrounding her hands will still make contact and electrocute them, Kakashi thought. Even so, he could tell she still needed to work on it because he could still move the parts of his body that he assumed she intended to paralyze. Kakashi shied away, thinking, now that just leaves Naruto, and I'd prefer not dealing with any tricks he may have up his sleeves. Naruto, in the meantime, had witnessed Satsuki and Hinata battle Kakashi and was impressed by how far they had progressed outside of sparring matches, but were aware that Kakashi still possessed far more strength and experience than they did. Just behind Naruto, Kakashi whispered, "Hey, Naruto." This made the Uzumaki uneasy. He then swiftly withdrew a kunai and slashed it at the Jonin, only to freeze when he gestured. Kakashi placed Naruto under a genjutsu and said, "Demonic illusion. Hell viewing jutsu." However, to Kakashi's surprise, Naruto suddenly burst into a cloud of smoke, revealing it to be a shadow clone. Beast Wave Palm. As soon as Kakashi heard the shout, he leapt out of the tree in time to see multiple waves of chakra cut straight through the tree in the area where he had been standing. Going through hand signs, the real Naruto leaps out from his hiding place. Naruto exclaimed, "Wind style. Sword of the Wind Count," as he released a compressed wind blade at Kakashi, who was making hand signs. "Fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu," exclaimed Kakashi, unleashing a surge of flames that intensified from the wind blade as they streaked in the direction of Naruto. "Wind style. Shield of the Wind Count," exclaimed Naruto, flinging his hands in front of him to conjure up a wind barrier of protection. When his flames struck the barrier, Kakashi scowled. To his astonishment, the flames were not empowered but rather repelled back at him while growing stronger than before. Water style. Surging sea. Kakashi exclaimed, launching a tremendous torrent of water that doused the flames before they could reach him and formed a substantial wall of steam that separated him and Naruto. As Kakashi moved to dodge, several tiny whirlwind-like balls suddenly shot through the steam towards him, surprising the Jonin with their speed. Naruto yelled, "Wind style! Spiraling wind ball!" through the steam. Grunting in pain when one of the wind balls slammed into his side, making him thankful he was able to dodge the rest of them. After shooting a spin kick to Kakashi's head that the latter managed to block, Naruto leapt over him and slammed his fist into the back of his skull. This was followed by him storming out of the steam. After recovering from the blow, Kakashi kicked Naruto in the stomach, knocking him back. However, the Uzumaki flipped mid-air and threw several shuriken at Kakashi before making hand signals. Wind style. Gale palm! Naruto exclaimed, unleashing a fierce gust of wind that sent the shuriken hurtling toward Kakashi. As a massive earth wall with statues of bulldogs on it rose up to block the shuriken, Kakashi yelled, "Earth style! Mud wall!" and slammed his hands on the ground. Earth style. Earth flow river, declared Kakashi, causing the ground beneath Naruto to transform into a muddy river, causing him to fall and slide away. Kakashi exclaimed, "Earth style! Earth dragon bullet!" as he used his third jutsu to form a dragon's head at the end of the mud river, launching a flurry of mud balls at Naruto. After using a substitution to evade the attack, the Uzumaki emerged behind Kakashi and made hand signals. With a shout of, "Wind style! Great breakthrough!" Naruto unleashed a powerful gust of wind that knocked Kakashi into a tree, but the Jonin scattered into a cloud of smoke. Kakashi appeared behind Naruto and gestured with his hand, saying, "Very good, but you forgot one very important lesson. Never let your opponent get behind you." The Uzumaki tensed at his unexpected appearance. "Leaf Village Secret Finger Jutsu, 1000 Years of Death!" exclaimed Kakashi, poking Naruto's rear with his fingers. Not expecting him to know Clone Great Explosion, the copy ninja was stunned when Naruto abruptly glowed brightly before exploding, and he barely made it out of the blast. Glancing around to see where Naruto had disappeared, Kakashi scowled when he saw neither him nor Hinata or Satsuki. Where did they go? Kakashi wondered where they had gone. With Satsuki, Hinata, and Naruto. While his clones kept Kakashi occupied, Naruto had taken hold of Satsuki and Hinata. However, as he received the memories from his previous clone, he froze and shuddered. Upon noticing his expression, Hinata inquired, "Are you alright, Naruto-kun?" Reacting, Naruto said, "Yeah, I'm fine, Hinata. Just getting another reason to kick Kakashi's ass." He vowed to make the Jonin pay for attempting to do that and expressed gratitude that it was only his clone. Satsuki crossed her arms angrily and said, "Well, good luck trying to get close. We could barely lay a finger on him. Even when it looked like we had the advantage, he just came back and took us down." Concerned that they would fail the test and be returned to the academy, Hinata continued, "Kakashi Sensei is pretty strong, as well as being an experienced elite Jonin and former Anbu captain. So it's not really all that surprising, he was able to figure out our techniques and plans rather quickly." Naruto responded, "Maybe. But we did try attacking him separately, though what if we attacked him together? Since they were able to defeat Kakashi fairly well when working together, they might be able to win the bells." Satsuki and Hinata turned to face him, unsure if that would help either, but they were also running out of options. "Do you have a plan?" Satsuki asked, realizing that they couldn't just charge in blindly. Naruto grinned and nodded, having realized something after witnessing Kakashi battle each of them. In company with Kakashi. The time is almost up. Considering that the time was almost up and none of the genin had attempted to take the bells, Kakashi wondered if they were simply calling it quits. This made the Jonin sigh, assuming that another team would not succeed. Satsuki yelled, "Fire style! Crimson Earth Spider!" as he leapt out and sent a wave of flames surrounding Kakashi in a fire circle, trapping him in the process before the flames also transformed into a massive spider that raced towards the Jonin. Kakashi was taken aback by the sight and tried to leap away from the fire ring, but the flames surged up and blocked him. He then quickly jumped away from the spider. Kakashi has to keep moving to avoid being struck by the spider, who is still chasing after him. Naruto exclaimed, "Wind style. Air bullets," as he leapt out and fired several air bullets at Kakashi, forcing him to avoid both the fire spider and the air bullets, which only served to intensify and widen the flames. After making several hand signs, Satsuki leapt into the air, pulled out several shuriken, and threw them at Kakashi. Satsuki exclaimed, "Fire style. Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson," as she infused the shuriken with fire chakra, enhancing their potency. "Wind style. Gale Palm," declared Naruto, unleashing a fierce gust of wind that sent the shuriken hurtling toward Kakashi and intensified the fire. As a result, Kakashi was unable to avoid every shuriken and grunted in agony as several sliced through his body, burning him in the process. The fire spider dealt even more damage to the Jonin when it exploded after slamming into Kakashi's back. "Oh my, I didn't mean for you to actually try to kill me when I said, 'Come at me with the intent to kill.'" Though he didn't have time to catch himself, Kakashi thought as he stood up and noticed that his clothes were ripped and burned. Suddenly, dozens of Naruto's shadow clones leapt out of the trees and surrounded him. Kakashi's eyes widened at the sight, and he started to dodge and deflect the blows, hitting the clones hard enough to dispel them. He squinted as the smoke started to block his vision, but when something unexpected struck his arm and caused it to become numb, he let out a painful grunt. "Hinata." Kakashi reasoned that the smoke cloud was a ruse to allow Hinata to approach and strike him with the lightning chakra. Quickly moving, Kakashi leapt from the smoke cloud and made hand signals. Kakashi exclaimed, "Lightning style. Lightning beast tracking fang," as he sent a lightning created hound into the smoke cloud to finish off the remaining clones and, ideally, electrocute Hinata to eliminate her. When Kakashi saw that Naruto and Satsuki were together, he swiftly moved to stand between them. He kicked Naruto in the head, knocking him back, and blocked Satsuki when she attempted to hit him with a kunai. He grabbed the kunai, twisted the Uchiha's wrist, and used it to pin her to the ground by pinning it behind her neck. Gazing, Kakashi noticed that the smoke had cleared, exposing Hinata unconscious from his lightning beast on the ground. Looking at Naruto, wondering how he'll get out of this, Kakashi said, "Well, now that was certainly a good plan you three had. But now what will you do? One of your teammates is unconscious and the other is captured. What's your next move?" To which Uzumaki grinned. Naruto said, "You're under the impression that was our entire plan." Then, to Kakashi's dismay, he vanished in a cloud of smoke and revealed himself to be a shadow clone. Satsuki exclaimed, "Fire style. Hiding in ash jutsu," before unleashing a powerful burst of ash infused with fire chakra, which caused Kakashi to scramble back as it began to burn. He was taken aback when he experienced a numbing sensation in his body, which caused him to move more slowly. Satsuki then proceeded to charge him, striking him multiple times with his tenketsu. What? Unaware of what was happening, Kakashi thought in shock just before Naruto materialized behind him. With the words, "Wind style, flower scattering dance," Naruto unleashed a cyclone of petals that struck Kakashi and propelled him skyward. The Jonin's eyes widened in shock as he saw a second Naruto materialize above him. "Beast Wave Gale Palm," Naruto exclaimed, concentrating a tremendous quantity of wind chakra into a monstrous claw that struck Kakashi squarely, sending him plummeting back to the earth. The Hitaki stood up, moaning, and saw Satsuki and Naruto standing next to each other. Just then, Satsuki was enveloped in a cloud of smoke, revealing Hinata. As Satsuki emerged as the first Naruto, Kakashi only looked to discover that Hinata, the person he had assumed to be Hinata, was actually a shadow clone in a different form. "How?" Kakashi exclaimed, shocked, while the three genin grinned. "We knew we couldn't beat you in a straight fight, so instead we just tricked you," said Naruto. "Naruto and I attacked first, making sure your attention was on us, before then sending all those clones after you," Satsuki went on. "Which I was among transformed to look like Naruto-kun. And while you were destroying them and creating all that smoke, I was able to get in close enough to try and paralyze you, only to switch with another clone transformed to look like me," Hinata replied. "Then once you escaped and destroyed the clones, Hinata and Satsuki switched places. Given you'd start taking us more seriously, you'd start holding back less. And once she had an opening, she'd distract with the hiding in ash jutsu to seal some of your tenketsu," Naruto replied. "Once that was done, I would show up transformed as Naruto to attack you again. while keeping you guessing as to who's who after me and Hinata switched places. Satsuki responded. Hinata concluded their plan, saying, and then Naruto-kun would come in and finish you at the end. Kakashi looked at them startled before hearing the timer go off. As Kakashi was about to say, well, it was certainly a good plan, but it looks like you still failed to get the... He heard a jingle and turned to see Naruto with the bells in his hand. Naruto smirked and said, the bells? I swiped them after hitting you with my Beast Wave Gale Palm. Kakashi was shocked that they had actually received the bells. Kakashi asked, and what will you do with the second one? Although they had collaborated previously, he now needed to find out if they would stay together. To their surprise, Naruto gave them both to Satsuki and Hinata, who merely threw them back at the Jonin, leaving them stunned once more. Even though they didn't keep them, Naruto knew they each had a bell, so he said, we each got a bell. As the three refused to pick one of their friends over the other, Hinata remarked, we aren't going to choose if one of us goes back to the academy. Kakashi looked at them all in shock before turning to look at the bells in his hand. Satsuki continued, so, you can either pass us all for getting the bells or fail us all for not keeping them. All or nothing, take it or leave it. Kakashi grinned and turned to face them again, saying, if that's the case, then there's only one thing I can do. 13 genin are smiling because they passed the test, Kakashi exclaimed, congratulations on passing, Team 7. A friend of mine once told me this. Those who break the rules are trash, that may be true, but those who abandon their friends are worse than trash. You three are the first team to pass the test. The true purpose of it isn't to get a bell, but to work together as a team. You three succeeded in not just that, but sticking together at the end, even if it meant you'd all failed. Said Kakashi, and the trio nodded, understanding what they meant. Before sunshining off to tell the Hokage they passed his test, Kakashi said, now then, I'll inform the Hokage of you passing the test, while you three can celebrate officially becoming genin in a team. With a smile on their faces, Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata expressed their happiness at passing the test and becoming official genin. Prior to the trio heading off to celebrate from the training ground. Upon reaching the Hokage's office, Kakashi reported his team's success and explained how they managed to pass the bell test. The Sandaime was paying close attention to every detail and the skills that Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata had demonstrated. Hiruzen nodded, saying, I'm impressed Kakashi, you finally were able to pass a team that realized the true purpose behind the test. Though I'm not surprised, with the friendship Naruto and Satsuki have, along with the friendship they've developed with Hinata over the past week and the synergy they gained from training together, I had a feeling they'd be able to pass. The Jonin had seen that the three had some good teamwork and were able to play off each other's strengths, so he wasn't surprised. Given how Naruto was initially the dead last and Hinata couldn't even hurt a fly, Kakashi said, they're definitely a good team Hokage. Sama and I'm sure they'll only grow better with training and missions, especially if they've been able to improve this much in just a week. Even Satsuki has improved more with the jutsu she's learned. So, who'll be the other sensei assisting me in training them? Kakashi asked, curious as to who the Hokage was enlisting to assist him in training his team. He was answered when a well-known Anbu materialized next to him. Knowing Tenzo's more serious demeanor and Kakashi's more laid-back demeanor will be a good counterbalance, Sarutobi said, I'm sure you're familiar with Tenzo. Given how both of you work together on Team RO, it'll make it so you both will have good teamwork out on missions, as well as being able to counterbalance each other. Tenzo bowed to the Hokage and nodded at Kakashi, who waved it off. Understood Hokage. Sama, I'll do my best in assisting Kakashi. Senpai in Training Team 7. It'll be an honor to work with you again, Senpai, Tenzo said. Kakashi understood the Hokage's reasoning for selecting Tenzo and said, Ma, Tenzo. I'm not your superior anymore, just Kakashi is fine. Surprising the two before him, Sarutobi said, one more thing, remove your mask Tenzo, from now on your name will be Yamato. Tenzo, or Yamato now, nodded and took off his mask. Sarutobi gave the order, and regarding your special talents, avoid using them at all costs, only do so unless there's absolutely no other choice. Kakashi and Yamato now realized the second reason Yamato was selected. It would be preferable if it didn't appear that an Anbu was picked to serve as a second teacher merely to possibly observe the Uzumaki, given the changes Naruto has experienced and the loss of trust he feels for the Hokage. Even worse if he discovered that Anbu could use Mokuton, one of the few tools capable of controlling both Naruto and the Kyuubi in the event that he went insane. Which is more of a safety measure Sarutobi is taking in case someone deliberately tries to agitate Naruto to the point where he taps into the Kyuubi's chakra. Before departing to get ready for their team meeting the following day, Kakashi and Yamato agreed on this. With Satsuki, Hinata, and Naruto. To celebrate passing the Genin test, Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata had gone to Ramen Ichiraku in the interim. Satsuki remarked, amazed that Naruto's plan actually succeeded despite the fact that there was a lot of room for error. That was a really great plan you thought of, Naruto. I was a little doubtful with some parts, but it went pretty well. Hinata grinned at her friend, Crush, and said, yeah, I don't think we would have been able to pass otherwise. Naruto responded, knowing that Satsuki and Hinata had contributed to the success of the plan, thanks. But you both helped a lot at the end, and any plan would have been useless without good teammates to initiate it with. Ayame grinned at the three of them, pleased that they had passed and were now a formal team. Well, I think all three of you did a really great job in passing and becoming Genin. Looking at Satsuki and Hinata, Chuki said, Ayame's right, just be proud of all the hard work you've done to get this far. How's the food, by the way? The Uchiha was eating omusubi with okaka and tomatoes as a side dish, and the Hyuga was eating cinnamon rolls. Hinata happily ate the cinnamon rolls and said, it's really great, thank you for making them, Tuchi. Ayame. Satsuki nodded while consuming her own food. They enjoyed being able to eat their favorite foods in addition to ramen, so Satsuki said, yeah, they're really delicious. After adding omusubi and cinnamon rolls to the menu after the trio had been coming here for the past week and discovering what Satsuki and Hinata both liked to eat, Tuchi exclaimed, ha 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 ha. I'm glad you like it and I should be thanking you both. Ayame said, staring at Hinata in shock, it's definitely helping attract more people with a wider variety to choose from. Though, it's still really surprising to see someone actually eat more food than Naruto. Hinata had just begun eating his 5th bowl of ramen, while Ayame was already on her 6th plate of cinnamon rolls. Hinata softly blushed and said, I just really like cinnamon rolls and the ramen is really great as well. Her ability to out-eat Naruto with ramen had surprised them all the last time it happened. Where does everything go? As they stared at Hinata, wondering where it all went for her, Naruto and Satsuki took a quick look at her figure and chest, making Satsuki's eye twitch in irritation as she gazed at Hinata's chest, and forcing Naruto to turn away in embarrassment at where his thoughts were going. Recalling the few occasions when Hinata removed her jacket during training, revealing that her breasts were already about a D cup, while Satsuki's were more like a C cup. How do they get so big? Thinking with jealousy, Satsuki returned to her omusubi. Tuchi grinned at the three and said, well, we certainly don't mind, eat as much as you like. Even better if you three keep coming back here on more of your dates. The Genin blushed at his remarks. Naruto stammered, this ain't no date, to which Satsuki and Hinata nodded rapidly. Ayame teased them, which only made their blushes worse. We never said you were already on a date, just that you three should come back for your other dates. Unless you want this to be a date, Naruto. We're just fr. Fry friends, said Naruto. Satsuki corrected, ye. Yeah, we're just father friends, but added, for now, in her head, hoping that would change later. Hinata, thinking along the same lines as Satsuki, exclaimed, A.An. and W. We're S.S.C.Si. Simply C. CE. Celebrating B.B.BE. Becoming A. Team. Ayame smiled and giggled at the three, while Tuchi laughed lightly at their responses. Ayame said, of course, just friends. But if that's the case, before abruptly leaning over and giving Naruto a cheek kiss that made his whole face flush and caused Satsuki and Hinata to narrow their eyes. Think of that as a reward for my handsome little brother turning into a Genin, Ayame uttered, nodding in agreement that Naruto's recent transformation had indeed made him appear handsome. Although initially taken aback, she was now compelled to appreciate his good looks. Hinata inquired, could I get some more cinnamon rolls? Satsuki asked, and can I get more omusubi? The two girls were just trying to get Ayame away from Naruto. As he and Ayame headed to get more plates ready, Tucci said, "Sure, coming right up." The brunette gave both girls a sly smile before heading into the back of the stand. Willing his blush to disappear, Naruto said, "So, using lightning chakra with your Juken was pretty cool." Hinata, earning a smile from the brunette. "Thank you Naruto-kun. It's something I've been working on since we started training, incorporating elemental chakra into my Juken to try and inject my chakra into a person. So rather than just closing their tenketsu, I could temporarily paralyze them if I used lightning chakra or burn them if I use fire chakra. Though it still needs some work before it can be really effective," said Hinata, impressing Naruto and Satsuki. "That's pretty good, making your taijutsu style even stronger with new effects, and even if you can't strike a person's tenketsu, the elemental chakra covering your palms will still be able to get them," Satsuki said, and Hinata nodded in agreement. Knowing how helpful it would be to combine their ninjutsu and taijutsu, something Satsuki and Hinata agreed with, Naruto said, "That'd be something good for all of us to learn, incorporating ninjutsu into our taijutsu, giving us an edge against any taijutsu specialists we face and some surprises to use." Before they eventually finished their meal, the three carried on chatting and exchanging tips on how to get better at what they were doing. They divided the bill amongst themselves and then departed individually. Hinata went back to the Hyuga compound and was welcomed by a branch member as soon as she entered. The branch member bowed and said, "Hinata. Sama, Hiyashi. Sama wishes to speak with you in his study." Hinata frowned a little at her father's desire to see her as soon as she returned. In response, Hinata said, "Okay, I'll be there shortly, thank you for telling me." She then went to her father's study to find out what he wanted to talk to her about. The brunette watched her sister with narrowed eyes as Hanabi Hyuga, who she did not see, looked at her from around a corner. Observing her in the village with Satsuki Uchiha and the boy Natsu warned her to avoid. Not to mention Kanoka Sarutobi, who calls her and Satsuki her big sisters after seeing her with the other young girl. Thought bitterly, "She's just replacing me as her sister too, just like I replaced her as clan heiress." Hanabi still felt sad and angry that Hinata had seemingly replaced her, despite her growing disillusionment with her sister. "It doesn't matter, it's okay if she wants a new sister, I could care less, she could get one." Though her face was dejected, Hanabi thought this as she headed back to her training and coursework as a clan heiress. As Hinata arrived at her father's study, she discovered her father, Hiyashi Hyuga, was waiting for her inside. Hinata asked in a formal and respectful manner, "You wished to speak with me too, Sama?" Her expression was neutral, not nervous as it usually was when she spoke with her father. Considering the time she spent with Kanoka, Satsuki, and Naruto, who all supported her good nature and assisted her in developing as a kunoichi. Because of her kindness, Hinata had begun to grow somewhat estranged from the rest of her clan, who only saw her as a weakling and a disgrace. Noticing his daughter's change in demeanor, Hiyashi said, "I had heard you passed your genin test, as well as that your jonin instructor is Kakashi Hitaki. You've done well in passing and getting the chance to train under such a renowned ninja." Hinata said, "I'm sure Kakashi Sensei will have much to teach me, Satsuki, and Naruto-kun." The Hyuga clan head frowned and nodded. Hiyashi said, making Hinata frown because she didn't like the way he was talking about her friend, Crush. "Yes, I also heard you were placed on the same team as Uzumaki. Which is rather concerning, given his reputation with the rest of the village, combined now with his recent change in appearance and personality." Hinata said, making Hiyashi's scowl deepen, "Naruto-kun doesn't care what the rest of the village thinks of him, and neither do I or Satsuki. He's our friend and teammate, so we'll stand alongside him." He didn't anticipate his daughter to even seriously dispute him. And how would such actions reflect on the rest of the Hyuga clan? That one our own would choose to interact with a known troublemaker and delinquent? It would be better if you limited interactions with the boy to only official business and nothing more, even better if you were on a different team entirely, said Hiyashi, as the brunette firmly grasped her. "I didn't think the rest of the clan would care who I interacted with, not that it'd be any of their business on who I choose to be friends nor the business of the rest of the village. And I chose to be Naruto-kun's friend, whether you and the rest of the clan like it or not. As for limiting my interactions with him, I'll spend as much time with Naruto-kun as I want, even if we weren't teammates I still would because he's my friend just like Satsuki," replied Hinata, causing Hiyashi to be taken aback contrary to what he's telling her. With a final tone, Hiyashi said, Regardless, I will be speaking to the Hokage about having you or Uzumaki move to a different team. I am still head of the Hyuga clan and you shall do as you're instructed, Hinata. And I am forbidding any further interactions with Naruto Uzumaki, and that is final. Then, thinking that was the end of it, he got up and left. No! Shouted Hinata, leaping to her feet and ultimately yelling at her father. Hiyashi was taken aback by her outburst, and was even more so when she noticed that she was now glaring at him. You don't get to decide who I spend my time with nor who I get to be friends with. Not after you've spent my entire life looking down on me, just because I choose to be kind instead of being cold and heartless like the rest of this damn clan. I'm seen as weak, a coward, and a disgrace just because I'm kind like Ka-san was. Now that I'm finally starting to improve like you always wanted me to, you're trying to take me away from my friends. If you want to choose the image of this clan over your own daughter's happiness, then fine, I'll leave so you don't have to choose, not that you seem to even care anyway. Shouted Hinata as she fled out of the room. With a warning look on his face, Hiyashi stood up and yelled, Hinata, I am your father and clan head, and I am ordering you to stop, only to have the brunette glare at him once more. Hinata shot back, turning back to the door to leave. I'm a genin, in case you just forgot to. Sama, that makes me a legal adult. And if I want to move out of the compound, I can. You can't tell me what to do anymore, Hinata said. Hiyashi made Hinata genuinely stop, startled by this and pausing. If you leave, you will no longer be part of the Hyuga clan, Hiyashi yelled. But all she could do was narrow her eyes and activate her Byakugan as she peered over her shoulder at Hiyashi. What difference will it make? I'm already treated like an outsider by all of you, Hinata said icily as she left the room, slamming the door behind her. Hiyashi fell back in his seat, shocked. He believed that if she was expelled from the Hyuga clan, that would be sufficient for him to concede and accept his choices. As an alternative, Hinata had just left to make it official, having actually chosen to be expelled from the Hyuga clan. What did I do? Before he felt eyes on him, Hiyashi thought as it really started to sink in that he was losing his daughter. Hiyashi flinched as he glanced at a picture of his late wife, who appeared to be glaring daggers at him for what he had just done. In conjunction with Hinata, in the meantime, was packing up everything she owned and putting it in some storage scrolls. The brunette then stopped at some scrolls she had made, which contained copies of different Hyuga clan techniques for practice and learning. She wasn't sure whether to try learning them though, since she's no longer a part of the Hyuga clan. Before sealing the scrolls away, Hinata thought, no. I will learn them, and I'll make them even better. She wanted to learn, master, and improve them purely out of spite for the Hyuga clan, to show them what the failure could accomplish. After packing and sealing everything, Hinata departed from the compound and made her way to Satsuki's apartment. After a short while, the door opened and Hinata arrived, shocking Satsuki. She knocked on the door shortly after. Satsuki asked, perplexed as to why Hinata was here at such a late hour. Hinata, what are you doing here? I got into a fight with Hiyashi Hyuga. He didn't like that I was on the same team as Naruto-kun. He was going to talk to the Hokage to try and have one of us put on a different team, but I wasn't going to let him. Then, I planned to leave the compound only for him to threaten to kick me out of the Hyuga clan if I left, and I did. Hinata said, her rage beginning to turn to hurt and uncertainty over whether or not she should still refer to Hiyashi as her father. The Ravenette was shocked to hear this and greeted Hinata with a frown before allowing her inside. Satsuki refused to give up on her friend, saying, if you need a place to stay, then you're always welcome here and can stay for as long as you like. Thank you. Hinata said as she went into the apartment, Satsuki guiding the now disowned Hyuga inside with an arm around her. In partnership with Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto was exercising outside beneath the moon, since her merging with Zen. Aku, the Uzumaki, has always felt more energized at night, and he is currently honing his wind style ninjutsu. Wind style. Spiraling wind ball, declared Naruto, who then inhaled wind chakra to conjure up a tiny ball that resembled a whirlwind and hurled it towards a tree. With the ball smashing straight through the tree and a few others following suit before finally scattering, Naruto grinned at how strong his wind style ninjutsu had become. With the knowledge that his wind style ninjutsu was sufficient for the time being and that he ought to begin working on another element, Naruto thought, I should start working on another element, so I'll have a better variety of elemental ninjutsu to use. After giving it some thought, the former blonde chose to begin studying fire style and water style ninjutsu since she knew these would be useful techniques to master next. Especially if wind style and fire style collaboration ninjutsu isn't possible with Satsuki or Hinata present. As he nodded to indicate which elements he will be focusing on next, Naruto thought, and I'm sure I can think of some good combinations for wind style and water style ninjutsu as well, even better that it'd be good for offense and defense. He then created 20 shadow clones to begin. Time. Skip. One day. When Naruto arrived at Training Ground 7 the following day, Satsuki and Hinata were already there. However, it was Hinata's expression that caught the Uzumaki's attention. Is something wrong, Hinata? Naruto inquired, worried about his friend, noticing that she appeared unhappy and depressed. I'm fine, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied, but Naruto did not appear to be persuaded and turned to face Satsuki. Hinata got into a fight with her father and things were said, with him being upset that you two were on the same team. With him even planning to talk to the Hokage about having one of you moved to a different team, but Hinata wasn't going to let that happen. And when she tried leaving, he threatened to kick her out of the Hyuga clan. Only for Hinata to leave despite the threat, before coming to my apartment last night. Satsuki said, causing Naruto to scowl. He did what? Exclaimed Naruto, upset that Hinata had been expelled from her clan for no other reason than that she was a friend and teammate. Naruto didn't give a damn about what the villagers thought of him, but he would make them pay for messing with someone they cared about. Naruto scowled before grudgingly nodding in response to Hinata's words. Naruto-kun, it's fine, really. You don't have to do anything and I don't want you getting into trouble because of me. Hinata nodded appreciatively as Naruto said, fine, the asshole probably isn't worth it anyway if he's willing to disown his own daughter. Hinata was relieved he wouldn't do anything that would land him in trouble. Before they could focus on Yamato, who had shown up at the training ground donning a forehead protector in the Hapori style and a standard Jonin uniform. Their confusion stemmed from seeing the Jonin arrive. Satsuki inquired, are you lost or something, sir? Speculating as to whether he was searching for a different training area. Hinata asked, or did you reserve this training ground for yourself? Yamato shook his head. To their surprise, Yamato said, no, I'm where I'm supposed to be and I didn't reserve this training ground. My name is Yamato and I will be your assistant sensei alongside Kakashi, senpai. Naruto asked, assistant sensei? Not realizing they had a second teacher. That's right. I was chosen to help Kakashi, senpai train you three, given he doesn't have any experience in training genin. While both of us have gone on plenty of missions together when we were both in the Anbu, so we know how to work together in each other's fighting styles. So I've been assigned to assist in your training, said Yamato, causing the three genin to slowly nod they understood. Okay, then what's first Yamato? Sensei? Satsuki inquired, unsure if they would begin training while they awaited Kakashi's arrival, certain that he would be late once more. Yamato said, knowing he would have to stick to his water style ninjutsu, earth style ninjutsu, elemental ninjutsu, and taijutsu. What's first is that I'm going to spar against each of you, one at a time. Kakashi. Senpai has already informed me of what you three are capable of from your genin test, but I want to see personally what you can do. After nodding in agreement, the three turned to face one another. Naruto moved forward first, and he and Yamato stood across from one another before charging at each other. After finishing his sparring match with the genin, Yamato thought, they're definitely more advanced than I was expecting. He was happy with how far they had already progressed and the skills they possessed, knowing that it would save time in having to teach them a lot of new material. After the sparring, he observed their abilities outside of combat and was shocked to learn that they could already perform surface walking, water walking, and leaf concentration, which allowed them to maintain multiple leaves adhered to their bodies. This development has surprised me, but it also pleases me because it will save even more time. Although they wouldn't be learning the exercises to master their elemental affinities just yet, Yamato said, you three are indeed skilled with what you can do already, and it looks like you have learned everything most new genin would learn in the beginning. So we can see about moving on to something a little more advanced. Yamato then withdrew 3 pieces of chakra paper. This was done so that he could determine which ninjutsu are most appropriate for the trio knowing their elemental affinities. This is called chakra paper. It's used to help ninja learn their elemental affinities, whether it's earth, water, fire, wind or lightning. If it turns to dirt it's earth, if it gets wet it's water, if it turns to ash it's fire, while wind will cut it in half, and lightning will cause it to crumple up. Go ahead and channel chakra into them to see what you three have. Yamato said as he handed each of them. Satsuki and Hinata channeled chakra into the paper, seeing as both of them crumbled and then burst into flames. Naruto's, on the other hand, was sliced in half, indicating that he had a wind affinity. Knowing that there were only 3 other people in Konoha with a wind affinity, Asuma Sarutobi, Danzo Shimura, and the snake Sanin Orochimaru, who were all formidable and dangerous ninjas, Yamato said, having 2 affinities is rather rare, while having a wind affinity in the land of fire is even rarer. Given that they both had similar elements, Hinata said, I can let you use the scrolls on the lightning-style ninjutsu I have Satsuki. Naruto continued, still holding several ninjutsu scrolls he had obtained from the temple, I also have some more you both can use as well. After witnessing Hinata and Kakashi use lightning-style ninjutsu and realizing its potential power, Satsuki responded, thanks, that'll really help. As his wind affinity would naturally make his wind-style ninjutsu stronger, Naruto said, no problem, though I'm also planning to learn fire-style ninjutsu and water-style ninjutsu to expand my arsenal, as well as wishing to study fuinjutsu and kenjutsu. As a result, he'll need to start learning fire-style and water-style as soon as possible. In addition, he wants to learn fuinjutsu to honor his clan and kenjutsu since he merged with Zen. Aku. To set himself apart from his predecessor, he wasn't sure if he would commission the creation of a new blade or have the crescent blade reforged. Hinata expressed her desire to continue learning water-style ninjutsu, saying, I'm also still hoping to learn water-style ninjutsu as well. I don't see any problem with that and I'll be able to help you both get started on learning water-style ninjutsu, since it'll help you develop a secondary affinity Naruto. Plus, a tertiary affinity would also be good to have as well. Though keep in mind that it won't be easy to learn and master multiple elemental affinities. Some of the strongest ninja in the world have mastery over all 5 nature transformations and it took them years if not decades to master them. As for kenjutsu and fuinjutsu, Kakashi, Senpai and I should be able to help with that since we're experienced in both arts, along with seeing if we can bring in a former teammate of ours and her fiancé in the help with the former. Yamato replied, knowing it would take them to master various elements. The genin were surprised to learn that some ninja had mastered all 5 elements, but this didn't stop them, rather, it just gave them something to strive for. Naruto couldn't help but grin at how well rounded his training in fuinjutsu and kenjutsu was. The team then started training, with Yamato assisting Naruto and Hinata in learning water-style ninjutsu, Satsuki and Hinata helping Naruto learn some fire-style ninjutsu, and Hinata assisting Satsuki with her lightning-style ninjutsu. Knowing that wind-style ninjutsu would complement her fire-style ninjutsu, Satsuki also asked Naruto to teach her some of that as well. Naruto is informed by Yamato that they will begin practicing his kenjutsu and fuinjutsu tomorrow. 3 hours had gone by when Kakashi finally showed up and caught their attention. Yamato was annoyed, but not in the slightest since he was accustomed to Kakashi's routine and knew he would be there in time if something truly significant came up. You're late, Senpai, again, he remarked. Kakashi observed that they had already begun training and apologized, saying, I see you all got started on training without me. I had to help an old lady cross the street but had to take the long way when a black crossed our path. Yamato replied, yes, we sparred so I could get a feel for their skills personally, along with what they can do outside of combat. I also tested their elemental affinities to see what they have. The copy ninja nodded, and Yamato started to fill him in on their training, noting that he was intrigued by Naruto's desire to learn fuinjutsu and kenjutsu. Naruto asked, curious about what Kakashi looked like beneath his mask, hey Hinata, could your Byakugan see past Kakashi Sensei's mask? Satsuki was also curious and was staring at her. Hinata answered, I can try. She then activated her Byakugan and turned to face Kakashi. However, she was perplexed to see through his mask and only see seals lining it, which caused her to sigh and shake her head. Much to their dismay and frustration, Hinata said, I can't see past it, there are seals on Sensei's mask that are even blocking the Byakugan. Nevertheless, it did demonstrate to Naruto that he made the right decision in asking Yamato and Kakashi to teach him fuinjutsu. From behind them, Kakashi said, sorry my nosy little genin, but it's not that easy. He had heard what they were attempting to accomplish and had already taken so many security measures that his mask was impervious to light. The three grinned with excitement at getting to do their first mission, none of them realizing what they were really getting into. Now then, since you've all had some individual training, let's get started on team training so you all can better work together and cover each other's weaknesses, Kakashi said. After, Kakashi asked over the radio, "Do you have eyes on the target?" When Naruto saw their target, he said, "Yeah, I see it." Hinata continued, "I'm ready to grab the target and in a position to capture." While waiting for them to give the all clear to move, Satsuki declared, "We're ready to move in to get them." Yamato warned, "Don't move just yet, otherwise we risk losing the target." He knew that one wrong move could have disastrous consequences. Kakashi exclaimed, "Move on my word. 3, 2, 1. Now, this made Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata leap out at their intended victim. Satsuki exclaimed, "Got it," and grabbed hold of the target before it could react. However, she flinched when the target was scratched across her arm, allowing it to escape. Hinata pleaded with the target, "Hang on, please don't eep," but instead received a cut across her face. Naruto stomped on the target's tail, grabbing them by the neck, and yelling, "Not so fast you little bastard." The target turned out to be a brown cat with a red ribbon in its right ear. Naruto exclaimed, "Ha, finally caught you little fuck," as the cat started to hiss and scratch him ferociously. "Can you confirm that we have the target?" Kakashi asked, practically giving the genin away as he grinned. Satsuki shot back, frowning at the cat, "Yes, we can confirm the demon from hell is captured." With a frown and a face full of scratches, Hinata said, "It's Tora. It has a ribbon in the right ear." With Yamato and Kakashi, taking pleasure in his students' reactions when he revealed that their first mission was a D rank, even worse than capturing Tora, said, "Ah ha 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 ha, ah, that never gets old." "It's actually kind of fun," Yamato admitted with a slight smile, having learned that genin detest Tora because of how frequently she runs away from Madame Shijimi. Naruto yelled over the radio, loud enough to actually topple the two, "Fuck you Kakashi and fuck you too Yamato. How about I tie you down and dump catnip over you both? Then we'll see who's laughing then you motherfuckers." Kakashi exclaimed, "What?" as he could only hear his ear ring. Hokage's office later. Madame Shijimi embraced Tora fervently and exclaimed, "Oh my darling Tora. You're back?" The cat was crying in anguish at being given back to her overly loving owner. "Yes, you're correct. Sob, cry, you little shit, and let the pain come." With a sadistic thought, Naruto relished the sight of Tora's suffering. "Come on. Give it one more squeeze. Just one more." Satsuki gloried in Tora's agony as she thought. "Revenge," Hinata thought as she merely observed the scene, a surprisingly composed smile on her face. The three did not take their eyes off Tora as she was squeezed and Madame Shijimi paid for the mission's completion before leaving. Sarcastically, Naruto said, "Thanks for that Kakashi. Sensei, Yamato. Sensei. I'd nearly forgotten why I wanted to become a ninja in the first place. It was to find cats for fat old ladies." He waited for Madame Shijimi, who is still the wife of the fire daimyo, to be out of earshot. Naruto was so irritated that Satsuki and Hinata had to agree with him when he said, "Why are these missions even necessary? These are basically just odd jobs that anyone can do, so why do we have to? They might as well be performing chores." Satsuki questioned, "Naruto's right. Why did genin have to do these? Wouldn't it make more sense for academy students to be doing them? Considering that everyone else was safe and the only real threat was that damn cat." Hinata continued, thinking that would be preferable and letting actual genin do actual missions. It would give academy students some experience in completing missions and working together, which would help them when they do become genin, as well as earning some money they can use as well. Iruka laughed at his former student's misfortune and remarked, "It's something everyone wonders." Although he too found dealing with D ranks to be irksome and frustrating during his time as a genin, he now took pleasure in his former student's current situation. Iruka continued, pointing out that since D ranks have been in the mission system for such a long time, it would take time to drastically alter it. But, regrettably, they help run the economy and are so situated into the system, that it would take time to fully implement such changes. While the idea of having academy students gain experience and learn teamwork sounded good, Sarutobi said, "Though I can see about having it done, as the idea does have some merit to it. For now however, you do need to complete the required amount of D rank missions before you can move onto a C rank." Team 7 was irritated by this, but they found comfort in the knowledge that they weren't the only ones going through this. In order to obtain the necessary number and begin performing C-rank missions as soon as possible, they took on another mission before heading out to finish it. After Team 7 was formally established a month ago, they also found out they would be receiving training support from an assistant teacher. In addition, they had to complete D-rank missions, which Hinata, Satsuki, and Naruto disliked but nevertheless finished. Being aware that the other genin needed to complete them as well and that obtaining their first C-rank mission would become more likely the more they completed. The trio had improved greatly during their training and had become even more formidable. Satsuki has resumed practicing Kyujutsu and begun training in Kenjutsu with Naruto. Realizing how helpful it would be to be able to see her enemy's movements and awaken her Sharingan. With its two blades that can combine to form a bow, it is an extremely lethal weapon. In addition, the Uchiha started studying Genjutsu so that she would be prepared to cast and break them when her Sharingan awakens, along with improving in Naruto's wind-style ninjutsu class. Hinata, on the other hand, had begun studying Shurikenjutsu and medical ninjutsu due to her superior chakra control. Senbon, when paired with the Blue Net's elemental affinities and Byakugan, proved to be an extremely lethal combination. In addition, she examined the scrolls she had taken with her after she had left the Hyuga clan, learning every detail of the techniques, putting them to the test, and then considering how to make them better. The former heiress had also learned a few from Yamato and received assistance in her water-style ninjutsu. Additionally, because of his Uzumaki ancestry and Zen, AKU's memories, Naruto's training in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu had been progressing nicely. Until he determines whether or not to use the crescent blade, he must use a standard katana until a customized sword can be ordered. Additionally, he picked up some fire-style and water-style ninjutsu from Yamato and Satsuki, respectively. The Uzumaki also started to consider seal concepts to enhance both their weaponry and training. They had also been working on D-rank missions during this time, willing to finish as many as they could every day in order to meet the requirements for a C-rank mission. As of right now, Team 7 had just completed their final D-rank mission and was heading back to the Hokage's office, relieved that this would be their last one. Looking at the Jonin, who both nodded in response, Sarutobi said, "Well done Team 7, you've all certainly done your fair share of work this past month. Kakashi, Yamato, do you both believe they're ready for a C-rank?" With knowledge that his students were prepared for a C-rank mission, Kakashi answered, "Yes Hokage. Sama, I believe they're ready." Yamato responded, "Agreed. They've certainly improved the past month and have shown good dedication on all their previous missions. Despite their occasional grumblings about having to complete D-rank missions, they successfully finished every one of them." After giving a nod in agreement, the Hokage asked Iruka to give him a mission scroll, which he then gave to Kakashi. "Great, and we just got a mission request from the Land of Canyons. They sent a request asking for help dealing with chakra mutants because a town there is being attacked by them," Hiruzen stated, raising some concern among Team 7. Due to excessive exposure to and absorption of chakra, some animals and plants have developed dangerous mutations known as chakra mutants. The alterations range from the animals just getting bigger than usual to changing completely in appearance. The only thing that stays constant is that they all grow much more vicious and lethal. However, there would be more hazards to contend with during their mission. Though it was the latter that was more concerning, the Land of Canyons lay between the Land of Earth and the recently designated Land of Sound. Given how the elemental nations still considered the Land of Sound and Otogakure to be relatively new powers, recently, they asked to take part in the upcoming Chunin exams in order to help boost their mission income. It was also a very dangerous move for a village that was only a few years old, as it could easily make or break them if they didn't perform well enough for prospective customers. But then again, the Land of Rice Fields is still home to a lot of ninja clans, all of them still being pretty powerful despite their power waning in recent years. Yamato and Kakashi thought, aware that Otogakure, despite being new, could surprise them and that they could be surprised by any teams the Land of Sound sends. They are all unaware of how accurate that will be. Kakashi accepted the task and then turned to face his students. "Very well Hokage. Sama, we'll set out right away." Kakashi spoke, "Meet us at the gate in an hour and come prepared for anything." The genin nodded, understanding that chakra mutants were dangerous creatures who could easily kill them if they weren't cautious and prepared. Not to mention any possible interactions they might have with Otto and Iwa ninjas. After Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata went back to their houses and packed everything they would need for the mission before heading to the gates, where Kakashi and Yamato met them. After everyone had arrived, the team set out right away, knowing that it would take them at least 2 days to get to the land of canyons because they had to exercise caution when crossing the borders. Hinata looked at the two Jonin and asked, Kakashi. Sensei, Yamato. Sensei, Takigakure is in the land of canyons, right? After some time. Yamato said, glancing at the blue net, that's right. Why do you ask? I was just wondering why this mission request was sent to Konoha. Wouldn't it have made more sense for the client to send it to Taki? Since a team from there would have arrived much sooner than one from Konoha. Hinata asked, assuming the client would prefer a team to respond to the chakra mutants as soon as possible. The copy ninja nodded in agreement as Yamato answered, normally you'd be right, but Taki is only a minor village. While they do have ninja, they aren't on the same level as ones from one of the 5 great nations. Yamato's right, as it's not just because the 5 great nations have larger villages and military forces. It's also due to us having greater resources than the minor villages, as well as a better quality in terms of academies, ninja techniques as well as more of a variety in ways to hone our skills. And while there are a few notable exceptions, they don't have the resources needed to train the same quality and quantity of ninja that Konoha, Suna, Kiri, Kumo and Iwa do. Though Taki does borderline things, with them having been given the Nanabi by the Shodem, granting them higher status. So it is possible that they did request a team from Taki as well, but the chakra mutants may have required them to call for backup just in case. Kakashi explained, with Naruto tensing slightly at the mention of the Nanabi. Yamato continued, catching the Genin's attention with the last sentence, there's also how one of their missing. Nin has become revered as one of the most dangerous bounty hunters in not just the elemental nations, but has even begun building a reputation beyond it as well. Beyond the elemental nations? Satsuki inquired, raising her eyebrows. She had heard only oblique references in the academy about other countries that were outside of the elemental nations. The Genin, who was curious about lands beyond the elemental nations, was only intrigued by Yamato's response. That's right. To the rest of the world, the elemental nations is known as the Shinobi continent. We've gotten the occasional visitor from the other lands but, for the most part, each land usually tends to stick to themselves. With some of them not even knowing what chakra is. So missing. Nin will sometimes travel to another continent to escape hunter. Nin and bounty hunters, since most don't want to bother chasing someone halfway across the planet. Curious about other worlds and their cultures, Naruto inquired, have mission requests ever come from the other continents? As the three nodded, Kakashi responded, sometimes, but they're incredibly rare and usually listed as either A rank or S rank, due to the unknown dangers that could be encountered. The three realized that these missions would probably be dangerous and that only high-ranking ninja would be assigned. However, that didn't stop them from wondering as they traveled on what it would be like to see other lands. Time. Skip. 2 days. After traveling for 2 days, Team 7 eventually reached the town that sent the mission request. During their breaks and rest periods, they also completed some training. They had now arrived, and the town chief had welcomed them. The leader shook hands with Kakashi and Yamato and said, you must be the Konoha team the Hokage sent. I'm relieved you've all made it here. Kakashi said, eager to learn as much as she could, especially considering how diverse chakra mutants can be. We're as well, sir. Now what can you tell us about these chakra mutants? With wide eyes, Kakashi and Yamato stared at the leader, of course. The attacks started happening nearly 2 weeks ago. At first they just show up and attack, but recently they've started stealing food, goods, and valuables. As well as demanding payment. A protection fee, they call it, and anytime we don't pay they simply take anything they want. Since that sounded nothing like chakra mutants, Yamato asked, I'm sorry? But these are chakra mutants, right? Not bandits dressing up or anything? The leader became irritated that they believed he was ignorant of what was going on and exclaimed, of course it's not bandits. I've seen them myself, giant mutant animals, some that look like humans, they've been causing nothing but trouble. It's a miracle they haven't simply destroyed the entire town. Forgive my colleague, sir. It's just these chakra mutants sound nothing like ones we've encountered or heard of before. They sound more like humans that have been mutated into animals. Kakashi said, causing the leader to sigh and no. Yes, forgive me, I just worry of what they'll do if they decide they want more than just money. It's not helped by the fact that the Taki team we'd previously hired seems to have failed in stopping them. The leader's words caught the ninja's attention. Kakashi inquired, realizing it would be beneficial to talk to them and find out what information they had. There's a Taki team here as well? The leader said, making the others frown at the idea that there is only one Taki team survivor and that the chakra mutants are extremely dangerous. There was, but they had gone to deal with the chakra mutants several days ago, only for a single member to return just this morning. I can only assume the rest are either dead or they've been captured by the chakra mutants for who knows what purpose. Hinata inquired, hoping to learn how she could assist the ninja. Would I be able to see them? After showing them to a clinic and showing them a room where the Taki ninja was lying on the bed and realizing they were kunoichi, the leader nodded. They were a small girl with tan skin, who was the same age as Hinata, Satsuki, and Naruto. Her short, layered, mint green hair had an orange clip in it. She wore long white armlets, fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over them, and a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath. She had her right arm covered by her forehead protector. In addition, there was a red cylindrical object with red wrappings on the floor next to the bed, which was probably something she carried on her back. She's already started healing, thought Naruto, who was intrigued to see that the girl's wounds were healing on their own but still hesitant to use his own healing power. Hinata used her Byakugan to check for any internal injuries and then moved to her side to use her medical ninjutsu to expedite the process. To Naruto's surprise and curiosity at now seeing another Jinchuriki, Kyuubi revealed herself, saying, "Then you should already know who she is, Runt. She's like you, the Jinchuriki that contains the Nanabi within her." The girl quickly started to regain consciousness and opened her eyes, which revealed they were pupilless and orange in color. The kunoichi rubbed her head, sat up, and moaned. The girl muttered, what happened?" as she struggled to recall the precise events that had occurred. The girl tensed up as Kakashi said, "That's what we'd like to know, as well as if you have any information you have on the chakra mutants." She then looked at them with shock and a hint of caution at being surrounded by Konoha ninja rather than her own teammates. The girl looked down, remembering exactly what had happened and taking a moment to grieve her now dead team. "What are you? Oh, damn it," she exclaimed. Even though they were essentially just Jonin sent to watch over her and make sure she didn't try to flee or do anything similar. Yamato made the girl look at them before she got off the bed, strapping her cylinder container to her back and saying, "Yes, we're sorry for what happened to your teammates, but we were hoping you could tell us what happened, along with anything you can share about the chakra mutants, how many there are, what they can do, anything that could help us deal with them." The girl revealed, much to their surprise, that they weren't dealing with chakra mutants but rather failed experiments of Orochimaru. "Well, for starters, they definitely aren't chakra mutants. We tracked them to an abandoned hideout and learning they were actually failed experiments of Orochimaru. I don't know how many there are exactly. As for what they can do, they all have abilities of whatever animal they look like, along with some other nasty surprises." "Oh no. I had no idea Orochimaru would be participating." Yamato realized that this mission had just become much more difficult. They must have been imprisoned in an abandoned hideout, only it seems like they managed to escape, he thought to himself. This adds a layer of complexity. Everything related to Orochimaru is dangerous and should not be taken lightly, even if they are just failed experiments. Not willing to take any chances now that Orochimaru was involved, Kakashi decided it would be best if he sent a message to the Hokage asking for backup. In particular, since they are unable to go back now that they have arrived. Otherwise, it would send the wrong impression that Konoha would abandon a mission in the middle of it. The Uzumaki created the clones and sent them into the town. Yamato said, "Naruto send out at least 24 shadow clones to patrol the village and go out to search for where the experiments could be hiding out at. Hinata, you also act as a lookout with your Byakugan. Kakashi, Senpai and I will create a barrier around the village without Earth-style ninjutsu along with reinforcing it with Fuinjutsu." Naruto and Hinata nodded. Glancing at the kunoichi, Kakashi inquired, "What's your name?" "Fu. My name's Fu." Fu answered, and the Jonin gave a nod in response. Kakashi asked, "All right Fu, do you have a way to contact Taki? In an attempt to find out if she could make a reinforcement call?" Fu said, causing Kakashi to mentally curse, "I did, but it was destroyed during the encounter with the experiments." Knowing that they needed to exercise caution and be on guard, Yamato said, "Well, for now, we'll be playing things safe. at least until we can determine the number and the power level of these failed experiments. Kakashi said, doubting that the 6 of them would be sufficient for whatever botched experiments Orochimaru had hidden away. Agreed, I'll also be sending Pakun back to Konoha to inform the Hokage of what's happened and requesting backup. After that, the 2 Jonin left to begin erecting the town's barrier, and Fu was observed by Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata. Satsuki said, so, you're from Takigakure. What's it like? The Greenette just shrugged in response. Fu answered, it's small, not that many ninja are people, but lots of places to be alone. She had grown accustomed to those spots for when she simply wanted to avoid the villagers and their stares. Hinata asked, what about your family and friends? And winced when she saw the cold look on Fu's face. Fu shot back, never had a family and I don't have friends. Naruto scowled at this, recalling his own early years. Naruto thought, I guess we have more in common than just being Jinchuriki, and then she saw Fu look at him and her eyes widen. Not expecting to meet another Jinchuriki, Fu exclaimed in shock after her Biju informed her that it could sense the Kyuubi inside Naruto. Why you? You're the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? You're like me? She exclaimed. What? Satsuki exclaimed, staring at Naruto in disbelief at what Fu had just said. Then, her eyes grew wide as she realized that if he is a Jinchuriki, that would explain why the entire village dislikes him. Is that the meaning of his discovering secrets withheld from him? Is that the reason he no longer has faith in the Hokage? Maybe that's what Naruto discovered that caused him to lose faith in the Hokage, Satsuki wondered. Naruto.kun? Hinata asked, staring at Naruto with astonishment. She hadn't anticipated learning he was a Jinchuriki and was aware that's why he'd grown up so alone and that's why she'd been warned not to approach him. They merely view the Kyuubi, Hinata mused, feeling sorry for her friend, lover who had to endure such suffering. Fu recoiled a little as Naruto gave Taki Kunoichi the stink eye for disclosing his own status and said, thanks for just blurting that out. Sorry, I just thought they already knew, Fu apologized. She had assumed that since everyone in Taki was aware that she was a Jinchuriki, they already knew as well. With a frustrated sigh, Naruto turned to face Satsuki and Hinata, ready to see the fear and caution on their expressions. Instead, they would give the Uzumaki a comforting glance. The brunette nodded in agreement as Satsuki said, if you're expecting us to be afraid of you or something like that, then sorry to disappoint but we're not. Naruto is still the same person that we have known. To Naruto's surprise, Hinata continued, grinning at him, Satsuki's right, it's just surprising to learn something like this. But you're still the same to us Naruto.kun. I actually think you're really amazing. To be able to stay strong and keep pushing forward despite how everyone else sees you. Are you two really comfortable knowing? Naruto inquired, startled, and the girls nodded, not really giving a damn if he's a Jinchuriki. The sole distinction is that they wouldn't despise, fear, or leave him because they understood why people didn't like him. Satsuki said, refusing to leave her friend, crush just because he's a Jinchuriki, especially not after everything he's done for her. Yeah, we're completely fine and we don't care. Something like this isn't going to change anything, especially after everything you've done. Helping us train, letting us learn from those scrolls you have, and just being there. While Naruto could only stare between them in shock, Hinata continued, and I'm not leaving either, Naruto.kun. I was able to get where I am now because of you, helping me train, encouraging me and, like Satsuki said, just being there for us. We're your friends and we care about you, so don't think we'll abandon you for anything. Naruto answered, touched and grateful that they would still stick by him despite knowing he is a Jinchuriki. Thanks, I care a lot about both of you as well and I'm glad that you're my friends, and don't sell yourselves short. I'm sure you two would have been able to get strong on your own as well. You two already were strong. I just helped bring it out. You two helped me even more with getting caught up on everything and improving. Satsuki grinned at her teammates and friends and said, let's agree we all helped each other. They grinned back. Hinata said, agreed. Naruto said, all right. Fu looked surprised to see that her previously guarded expression had changed to one of shyness and hesitation as she said, you. Grabbing the attention of the trio. Well, given that you're both Jinchuriki like me and that you both accepted him, would you be able to be my friends too? Asked Fu, hoping that they would accept her request as Naruto, Satsuki, and Hinata exchanged glances before turning to face the Greenette. With Satsuki and Hinata nodding in agreement, Fu smiled a little as Naruto responded, I don't see why not. Really? Fu inquired, wanting to be certain. The three genin nodded in agreement, and her grin widened even more. With a happy smile, Fu exclaimed, woohoo! Yes, I have friends, I really have friends, in response to her real friends. I have so many games I want to play with you guys, we can train together since I know you three are really strong, and we can also tell each other about ourselves over tea. This is the greatest day ever, exclaimed Fu, excitedly recalling all the things she had imagined doing if she had friends, and now she could finally accomplish them all. Her abrupt change in behavior gave Naruto and the girls a déjà vu feeling because it brought back memories of who he used to be. Seeing how delighted Fu was that they were now her friends made the three of them smile nostalgically. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder to steady her and said, easy Fu, how about we start with some training first, then we can see about getting to know each other better. Satsuki continued, it would be interesting to see what you can do. She was interested in Fu's abilities because, as a Jinchuriki, she must have inherited some unique skills from her Biju. Hinata smiled and Fu gleefully declared that they wanted to train with her. We can also teach each other some ninjutsu, if we have the same elements. Yeah. I even found a really great spot near the town to train in, let's go, Fu exclaimed, spurring on her as the three laughed at her antics and followed her out of the room. After, Fu guided Hinata, Satsuki, and Naruto to a clearing close to the town so they could practice. So Fu, what exactly can you do? Naruto inquired, wanting to know what powers Fu possessed and whether she had acquired any from her Biju. To their surprise at her abilities and at how much it sounded like the tactics the Aburame clan used with their own insects, Fu answered, I can do lots of things. I can use my scale powder and hiding in scale powder jutsu to release a large amount of fine powder that, when it catches the light, will glow brightly and blind enemies. I can also create nets that I can connect to allies to transfer chakra to them and heal them. Along with nets I can create to capture targets that can drain their chakra and transfer it to me. There's also a cocoon I can form around myself and allies to block techniques that drain chakra and provide an additional defense. Satsuki inquired, what about that cylinder thing you carry around? What's that for? Speculating as to why Fu would be carrying that around. The three nodded in agreement as Fu replied, I use it to store chakra inside of, in case I ever start running low and need to transfer to allies to heal them. That way I'm not emptying my chakra reserves by transferring it to others. Hinata questioned, that's pretty smart, making sure you always have a backup source of chakra. What about your elemental affinities? Do you know what they are? The brunette nodded. Since no one in Taki really had a wind affinity, and she doubted that anyone who did would teach her any, Fu answered, yeah, I do. I have a wind affinity and a water affinity. While I know plenty of water-style ninjutsu, I don't really know any wind-style ninjutsu. Assuming Fu had received specialized training, Naruto said, you seem really strong despite just being a genin. That's because I had been personally trained by Taki's leader, Shibuki. He taught me everything he knew about water-style ninjutsu. Fu exclaimed, pointing out that Shibuki was a strong ninja and an excellent leader despite his cowardice, before she cast a somber glance down. Shibuki is actually my only friend in Taki and he protected me, training me to be strong, Fu continued, expressing gratitude for all of Shibuki's kindness but sadness that he was the only person she had in her own village. Before she could raise her head, Hinata, Satsuki, and Naruto surrounded her, grinning at the green girl. Satsuki said, well, you have 3 new friends. Naruto and Hinata nodded in agreement. That's correct, and we truly want to be friends with you. We don't care that you're a Jinchuriki, just like with Naruto.kun. Hinata continued, causing Fu to smile broadly at their remarks. Naruto wanted to teach her the Shadow Clone Jutsu since he knew she would be able to fully utilize it. As for training, I have a jutsu that can help you, along with being able to teach you some of the wind style and water style ninjutsu we know. Even though it's not as much as he could use it because he's a Jinchuriki and an Uzumaki. Without a doubt, Fu will be able to produce more shadow clones than she needs in order to benefit from the memory feedback. Fu, excited at the prospect of learning some new ninjutsu and eager to teach them as well, said, really? That'd be great, and I'd really like the chance to have something to help with my training. I can also teach you some of the water-style ninjutsu that Shibuki has taught me. However, since the water-cutting sword is a Takigakure secret technique, she would be unable to teach them. She could still teach them a lot of other ninjutsu, though. As they began their training, The girls nodded in agreement to Naruto's statement, then let's get started. With Yamato and Kakashi. After they had completed erecting the barrier around the village, Kakashi and Yamato had gone out to patrol the neighborhood. After the copy ninja sent Pakun a message to the Hokage informing him of their findings and asking for assistance. The Jonin became tense and prepared for a fight when they heard a high-pitched laughter reverberating around them, but they both abruptly stopped. Only for them to suddenly become lightheaded, followed by laughter. Wah, he, what's, ha 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 ha, ha. Ha dot happening. Ha 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 ha. Yamato exclaimed, attempting to contain his laughter for some reason. Kakashi laughed as he began to have difficulties standing up straight. Ah ha 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 ha. ID.do. Don't, he. Ah ha 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 ha. No, it must be, some kind of, Genjutsu. Ha. Before they could respond, something quickly leapt out of the trees, threw Kakashi to the ground, and gave him a deep chest wound. Yamato was then impaled on a sizable scorpion stinger after having something heavy slam into him. 3 of the failed experiments were identified as their attackers. They all resembled animal mashes mixed with human. The first had a hyena-like physical appearance, with brown spots all over his fur, claws, a long dark brown mane running down his back, blank white eyes, and an insane smile. The second had thick leathery gray skin, a horn growing out of the top of his head, and he resembled a giant bipedal rhino. And the third had the appearance of an anthropomorphic scorpion, complete with claws and a tail, and an exoskeleton covering the majority of its body. With a menacing smirk, the scorpion said, "Good work. Now let's report back that we've dealt with." But to their surprise, Kakashi and Yamato disappeared in a cloud of smoke, exposing themselves as shadow clones, while the real Kakashi and Yamato leapt out from their hiding places. With a slam of his hands on the ground, Yamato exclaimed, "Earth style, earth flow spear," and several stone spikes shot out of the ground, forcing the experiments to retreat. With the exception of the rhino, who sprinted toward the Jonin and charged straight through the spikes, shattering them. "Fire style. Grand fireball jutsu," exclaimed Kakashi, launching a massive fireball towards the rhino, causing him to scream in deafness. This allowed Kakashi and Yamato to dodge the projectile and caused the experiment to crash into a tree. Yamato said, "I'm guessing he's the giant, durable tank." Kakashi nodded, then turned to face the scorpion and hyena. The hyena let out a wild laugh and charged them, saying, "That must mean they're the fast close range fighter and the short mid range fighter," Kakashi said. The scorpion roared, "And you'll both be the dead fighters soon enough," before spitting a stream of green acid that made Kakashi and Yamato scramble to get away as the acid hit and started to melt the area where they were standing. When the hyena lunged at Kakashi, he had to block his claws with his kunai before slamming his head into the experiments and blocking the hyena's other hand. I was able to knock him out before using hand signals. The hyena fled swiftly as the lightning beast pursued him after Kakashi exclaimed, "Lightning style, lightning beast tracking fang." Prior to the rhino being able to get up from his tumble and slam into the lightning beast, dispelling it, he charged towards the copy ninja, shrugging off the damage. "Wood style. Smothering binding jutsu," Yamato exclaimed, transforming his arm into wood that spread out in the direction of the rhino and ensnaring him in the branches. Since it's just the two of them now, Yamato doesn't need to hold back. Just as the scorpion erupted from the earth, stabbing his stinger into the spot where he had been standing, his eyes widened and he quickly leapt out of the way. The rhino then charged Yamato, slamming into the Jonin as soon as he hit the ground, after using his claws to break the wooden bindings around him. When the rhino tried to charge him again, Yamato quickly rolled out of the way, grunting in pain as the animal crashed into him before lunging forward and throwing him against a tree. As dozens of wooden branches started to grow out of the ground and interlock to form a wide net like wall, Yamato slammed his hands on the ground and exclaimed, "Wood style. World of trees wall." The rhino charged into the wall but became stuck when he couldn't get all the way through. "Earth style. Earth flow river," exclaimed Yamato, causing the ground beneath the rhino to become a muddy river and preventing him from getting his balance. Kakashi was juggling the two creatures at the same time. The scorpion was always popping up and disappearing from the ground, while the hyena was running around and making the Jonin move constantly. Kakashi exclaimed, lightning style. Electromagnetic murder. As he hurled a potent bolt of lightning at the scorpion, which promptly dove back under the earth to escape it. The hyena jumped on Kakashi's back, biting into his shoulder and sinking its claws into his shoulders, forcing him to grit his teeth. When Kakashi abruptly changed into lightning, the hyena screamed in agony, but it turned out to be just a lightning style shadow clone. Water style. Water bullet jutsu, exclaimed Kakashi, letting loose a powerful stream of water that caused the hyena to become even more startled and eventually topple over motionless. The scorpion then erupted out of the earth, forcing the Jonin to scramble backward in order to avoid getting impaled on his stinger. Water style. Water bowl, exclaimed Yamato, unleashing a torrent of water from his palm that struck the scorpion and knocked him back, away from Kakashi. He was startled to see the rhino had escaped his world of trees wall before there was a loud crash, and he had to leap to avoid the rhino as it charged towards him. Earth style. Multiple earth style wall, Kakashi exclaimed, slamming his hands against the ground. This created multiple earth walls that ensnared the rhino, who just yelled as he started to charge at the walls to escape. Earth style. Earth flow spears, exclaimed Yamato, slamming his hands against one of the walls to unleash a barrage of stone spikes that pierced the rhino's body and left him with nowhere to run. The scorpion then stabbed his stinger into Yamato's chest, causing him to gag. He then laughed evilly and used his claws to split the Jonin in half. Only for Kakashi to rush him from behind and stab a rakery through his back, causing him to cry out in pain. As he rose from the ground, Yamato said, "You made the mistake of falling for the same trick twice." Kakashi then withdrew his hand and examined the scorpion, making sure to omit anything significant so they could question him. Yamato's body was revealed to be a wood clone. "Now tell us, how did you all escape and how many of you were there?" Kakashi asked, but as soon as the scorpion started laughing once more, Yamato and he became tense. The scorpion then stabbed himself in the chest, saying, "Ah ha 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 ha. It won't matter what I tell you, nor how many of us you kill. Our leader Ryujin, he'll make short work of you damn ninja, then he'll turn that town into a graveyard. I only regret not being there to watch you all die." "Damn it," Kakashi murmured, worried that they seemed to have a leader and not liking that they didn't receive any information. Yamato frowned and nodded to Kakashi, saying, "Well, I doubt that's good. These three would have likely been far more difficult if the genin were here. But even then, they still put up a fight. And if they have a leader, I don't think he's going to be any easier to deal with. It makes me wonder what exactly Orochimaru did to them to make him take a name like that. Anyone who calls themselves Dragon God will likely have the power to back it up rather than it being out of arrogance," Kakashi said, doubting it would be beneficial for them. The copy ninja nodded in agreement as Yamato said, "Let's just head back and tell the others that 3 of the experiments are at least taken care of and prepare in case more show up." Then they headed back towards town. They had no idea that a teenage boy had been watching them fight with the experiments. The boy had a pale complexion, bright green eyes, sharp features on his face, 2 red dots on his forehead and shoulder. Length white hair that was parted in 2 parts on either side of his face and zigzagged down the middle of his head. His outfit included a loose fitting, long, sleeved, zip-up shirt in a light lavender color, black pants that were cut off at the midcalf, bandages around his ankles, traditional shinobi sandals, and a purple belt that resembled rope and was tied around his waist in an inverted bow. In addition, he had 2 red hair ornaments in the shape of tubes on either side of his head, which held 2 locks of his silvery white hair in place. A curse seal, consisting of 3 curved lines arranged in a circle, was located at the base of his throat. The last living member of the extinct Kagaya clan and the owner of their rare Shikatsumiku Keke Genkai is Kimimaro Kagaya, in addition to being among Orochimaru's most devoted devotees. It was also he who, while visiting Jugo at the northern hideout, unleashed a dozen botched experiments on Orochimaru's orders. The Kagaya didn't know if it was done out of boredom or to see if the unsuccessful Curse Seal Level 2 experiments could still be useful, though. Why his master wanted him to make the experiments public was anybody's guess. "It doesn't matter. I don't care why Orochimaru-sama wants me to do this. I'm just doing what he says," thought Kimimaro, understanding that he shouldn't question his master's and savior's orders. Even so, he knows that Orochimaru will want to know about Konoha Ninja's presence because Kimimaro uses hand signs. Magic Lantern Body Jutsu. Kimimaro uttered before bending over and watching as Orochimaru materialized in a ghostly form. Orochimaru asked, knowing the answer in advance, Kimimaro, I take your reporting in on how my failed experiments are doing. Kimimaro nodded and raised his head. The snake Sanin turned to Kimimaro and said, yes Orochimaru. Sama. Though it seems 3 of them proved to be little more than trash as they've been killed by Kakashi Hatake and another Konoha ninja, one who possesses the Mokuton Kekkei Genkei. Orochimaru asked, receiving another nod from the Kagaya, it would seem one of the failures survived then, how interesting. Anything else? Yeah. They've also brought 3 genin with them. 2 of them I identify as a Hyuga and the last Uchiha. Satsuki Uchiha. I'm not sure about the third, though. Additionally, one of the Taki ninja is still alive, Kimimaro remarked. Orochimaru grinning at the news that Satsuki was present. It would seem that things have just gone better then. A chance to see how strong Satsuki is and her potential as a future vessel, along with seeing who else Kakashi and my old experiment are training. You've done well, Kimimaro. Orochimaru said, with Kimimaro merely bow. Kimimaro, feeling satisfied with his performance in serving his master, said, thank you Orochimaru. Sama. I shall ensure to keep you updated and informed of anything and everything of note that happens. Orochimaru nodded before concluding the jutsu. After his image completely disappeared, Kimimaro got up and headed toward the town to get a better look at the ninja and their abilities.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.